What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios this morning. Thanks for hanging out with us and making us a part of your start. Whether you are listening on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available to stream up online at WAYYradio.com, sportstalk1051.com. You got your smart devices, your smart speakers, and the YouTube video stream, Man Cave TV, up and rolling. Don't forget, if you are on YouTube and checking it out, if you could hit that subscribe button, follow button, bell up there, would greatly appreciate it. But if you are heading out on the roads, I'm assuming it's still the same as it was at like 3:30 this morning. Kind of looking at one of the Skycam TVs in the other studios right now, and it looks like it's incredibly foggy, still incredibly foggy out there. So be safe. That's what we call good old pea soup weather, it looks like out there. So, yeah, put those lights on, and if you are listening, just wait to text us until you stop, all right? So what do we have on our game plan for this morning? We're going to talk some Brewers as the Brew Crew back at it tonight as they're going to open up a series against the Toronto Blue Jays. Jacob Misiorowski is going to be getting his fourth start of the season. But Brewers going to be going up against a tough pitcher as well. Kevin Gausman is going to get the starts for Toronto. So we'll break it down. We'll preview it, all that fun stuff, taking a look at this game and this series. And well, hopefully the Brewers can get back to their winning ways. Right now they're a third in the division, the NL Central. But, of course, riding their 5-game losing streak, hopefully going to get off the schneid with a win tonight. So we'll talk plenty of baseball, plenty of Brew Crew throughout this morning. Also on the docket as we inch closer and closer to the NFL draft, which is next week, we will continue to kind of break down some potential prospects. But on the heels of the Dontavian Wicks trade, which officially became official yesterday, we'll take a look at some potential prospects or some potential draft prospects for the Packers, but wide receivers. So we'll take a look at some of the options out there, including who are the receivers that are going to be taking some visits or have taken some visits with the green and gold. How early, kind of an informal poll question to you Packers fans out there, how early would you be okay or would you like to see Green Bay maybe go out there and get a wide receiver? How high on the priority list do you think it is for Green Bay to address wide receiver? Maybe not so much. And think about it from this perspective, not so much for this year, but maybe for next year and the next couple of years. Because from all accounts, if we believe the draft experts and the higher-up analysts out there, this is a class that is pretty good in terms of depth of wide receiver. So should Green Bay take advantage of that this year and make sure that they come away with a wide receiver that maybe could follow in the footsteps of plenty of other receivers in Green Bay that have had nice careers. So we're going to take a look at that this morning. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal coming your way in the 8 o'clock hour, the latest and greatest from Badger World. Officially official with Chris McIntosh. Now going to be, officially made it. Yesterday was like official day because Badgers announced the Chris McIntosh stepping away. The Packers officially announced the trade with Dontavian Wicks, and the Bucs officially announced Doc Rivers stepping down. So, but we'll talk to RJ about that and get his thoughts on some potential replacements for the athletic director position for the Wisconsin Badgers. So we'll hit that up. It is a Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So let's hear it, peeps. What are your grind my gears? What's grinding your gears this morning? Make it appropriate, and then we'll share it with the rest of the group. Also looking for your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. All right? I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. Also, it is a sports confession day. Okay? Confess your sports sins. It's a Feel Better Tuesday. You're getting something off your chest with a little Grind My Gears Tuesday. And maybe you got to confess something from a sports perspective, all right? So, get it off your chest. Feel better about yourself on this Tuesday morning, all right? Share it with us. We're not judgmental or anything like that. We're here to help. But we'll hit that up. We had the WNBA draft last night as well. So, I mean, there's lots to catch up on, lots to chat about here this morning. So, let's and then we got kind of, I mean, do we call it the playoffs for the NBA, or do we call it play-in games? I mean, what's the technical term in this whole thing? Does it really matter? I don't know, but we've got a couple games here tonight. Miami taking on Charlotte, Portland taking on Phoenix. If you are following along with the NBA playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs, going to be getting going here later on in the week and such. So, but all right, let's get things going here this morning, shall we? We'll get the leadoff started. We'll talk some baseball to open it up. Taking a look at this series with the Toronto Blue Jays. Toronto Blue Jays, a team that a little bit, again, coming in with some high expectations, but when you look at the start to the season, maybe not hitting the ground running or hitting those high expectations. They're 3 games under 500 right now. They're 6-9, so they're looking to rack up some wins. They are winless on the road right now. Brewers looking to end. They're losing Schneid. So you got 2 teams here that maybe you're really looking for a win. So we'll preview it tonight, or we'll preview tonight's game with an intriguing pitching matchup, and we'll talk a little bit about Jacob Mizorowski's 4th start of the season. We'll take our first break and be back to talk some Brewers baseball coming up after these quick words. As the fields come back to life, it's time for spring sports in the Chippewa Valley. Whether you're stepping up to the plate, hitting a track, or maybe getting back on the field, make sure that your body is ready to perform. At Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, their team specializes in keeping athletes of all ages healthy, strong, and in the game. From injury prevention to expert care and recovery, they've got you covered every single step of the season. So don't let pain keep you on the sidelines. Get back in the game with confidence. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, helping you move better, playing stronger, and staying in the game. All right, let's get the leadoff going here this morning. Let's open it up talking some baseball as we get back to action tonight for the Brew Crew, taking on the fighting Dalton Varshows and the Toronto Blue Jays this evening. So looking at the pitching matchup, you get Jacob Mizorowski for his fourth start to the season, but it's going to be a tough one on the other side here too. Kevin Gossman going for the Toronto Blue Jays. Even though he's 0-1 in his 3 games started, he does have a 2.08 ERA. He's coming off of a loss against the Dodgers, but he went 5 1/3, giving up just 3 earned runs in his 2 previous starts against Colorado. He went 6 innings and a no decision, 2 hits, no earned runs, no walks, 10 Ks. Check these two. That game and his first game of the season against the Athletics. And I get it, it's the Rockies and Athletics, but still. Athletics back at the 27th. Here's the thing, too, is like this line, and you look at the Blue Jays offense and that just no run support. But against the Athletics, 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 earned run, no walks, 11 Ks. All right, so his first 2 games this season, no walks, 1 earned run, 3 hits, 21 Ks. And then against the Dodgers back on the 7th, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 Ks. And that's the Dodgers too, so I'm gonna kind of expect that we might get the Kevin version of the first 2 games and that. But that's kind of dangerous, especially for a Brewers offense that may be struggling here a little bit too. So, and when you look at the matchups and the experience-wise, I mean, Gary Sanchez has the most, and a lot of it is probably from his time in the American League and that. But 23 career at-bats. He does have a home run against him, hitting 217 and a 598 OPS. Yelly, which I'm not going to be playing, 14 at-bats, 214, 563. Luis Renifo's got 10 career at-bats and a home run, 200, 773. Other than that, I mean, Hamilton's got 8 career at-bats, 250, 500. Contreras, 6 career at-bats, is just 0 for across the board. Bowers, 4 career at-bats, 333 OPS, nothing for an average, so not a ton there. And then Mizorowski on the other side. Dodgers don't have any experience going up against the Miz kid. And he's coming off of his first loss of the season, but that was the Boston game where he was awesome through the first 5 innings. It was that 6th inning where the walks started to creep up a little bit. And to me, that has been if we look at Mizorowski. Now, I think Mizorowski is off to a good start for the season. 3.31 ERA, 1-1 record. I mean, he's racking up the strikeouts. But his biggest issue so far, in my opinion, has been the walks. He's coming off of a performance against Boston where he had 4 walks. Tampa Bay, he had 2. White Sox on opening day, he had 3. That, to me, is where he's gotten himself in the most trouble. Whether it's been fatigue and it's kind of the trickle-down effect afterwards. It's been the fatigue, and that affects his mechanics and kind of comes tumbling down after that. Compare it to, league leaders and walks given up. I mean, and a lot of these guys at the top, like Severino and Gavin Williams, they've pitched in 4 games, but they've also given up 16 walks. So, I mean, you're averaging 4 walks per game. Yikes. So Brandon Sprota already has 10 walks on his resume here too. So, but you look at Mizorowski, and I think if we were to look at, okay, what's something he could get better at, or what we've seen from the first 3 games that you'd like to see some improvement on, yeah, I think you kind of look at the walks, and you'd like to see those get cut down just a little bit. But 28 strikeouts so far on the season. You got Kevin, who's got 26. Mizorowski's whip is a 1.04. It should be, at least on the surface, again, another solid pitching matchup. Who's going to have the advantage? Which offense is going to have the advantage? When you look at Toronto, let's take a look at Toronto's offense and see what they've been doing so far this season. Okay, so the Blue Jays, in terms of home runs, all right, let's take a look at the power. In terms of home runs, the Blue Jays are 21st in all of Major League Baseball. They've got 14 total home runs. Brewers, by comparison, have 16. That's 13th in all of Major League Baseball. If you're looking at batting average, okay, Toronto on this list. But Milwaukee is top 50. They're 15th. Toronto, meanwhile, they are 10th best in terms of batting average. So Toronto's a 242. And then you got Milwaukee at a 236. But how about OPS, right? OPS. Brewers, they're top 10. They're 8th, 726. The Toronto Blue Jays, they come in at 18th at a 693. How about RBIs? Scoring, right? Brewers, top 10. They're 9th, 77 RBIs. And this is where the Blue Jays are towards the bottom, is scoring runs. They're 26th in Major League Baseball. So they've got 55 RBIs, whereas the Brewers, 77. Total runs, Brewers top 10, 80. Toronto, they're 26th at 57. Brewers are coming in at 8th. Now, if we look at pitching, this is where the Blue Jays have some interesting numbers. So for pitching purposes, the staff, the team that has the most strikeouts this season are the Toronto Blue Jays. They're coming in, leading the entire majors with strikeouts, 168. Next closest is Cleveland at 166. And Cleveland has, looks like 17 games under their belt, whereas Toronto, 50. Now, to compare it, Milwaukee, they've got 142 strikeouts right now. Opponent's batting average, looking at where each of these teams rank here. So you've got the Milwaukee, they're right next to each other. Toronto's opponent's batting average is 240. Brewers is 241. League best Dodgers are at a 205. In terms of home runs given up, Toronto, their pitching staff has given up 20 home runs, which is in the top 5 in Major League Baseball. Brewers, meanwhile, they've dropped down a little bit. They're 15th. They're tied for 16th. They've given up 15 home runs in Major League Baseball. Team ERA, you're looking at the Brewers team ERA 4.16. That's 17th in Major League Baseball. But the Toronto Blue Jays, 27th, 4.81. So, I mean, you look at some of these numbers, okay? Where you look at runs from a pitching standpoint, runs given up. Toronto, they've given up the 5th most runs, 82. If you're wondering where Milwaukee is on that list, they're actually like top 10. They've given up just 64. Earned runs, Toronto's given up the 5th most, 73. Milwaukee, they're top 10 again, 61. But Toronto's pitching staff, the one thing that they do very well is strike out. They can get batters to strike out. They can give up runs. And they have given up runs so far, but they can strike out some batters. So it's going to be an interesting comparison to see where, I look at if we do like keys to victory, key matchups and such, this Brewers offense that has been struggling the last few games. Yep, they put up some decent amount of runs in that series series finale against Washington, but the games before that, struggling to collect some hits and struggling to score some runs. Now you're going up against a Toronto team that is off to a little bit of a slow start this year, that it has struck out a lot of batters from their pitching side, but has given up some runs. Which one's going to prevail? Is Toronto's pitching staff going to be able to go out there and K the heck out of this Brewers lineup? A Brewers lineup that, when we look at it so far, has been all pretty good at not striking out. I mean, they're top 10. They're 7th best in terms of total strikeouts. And on the flip side, though, too, the team with the fewest amount of strikeouts from an offensive side, Toronto, 104. And you got the Miz kid going on the mound. There's a lot of parallels to both these teams and some interesting matchups. Which one's gonna kind of rise to the top, or which one's gonna lead whatever team to victory here? Are the Brewers offense going to be able to kind of get out of their funk here and put up some runs, or are they going to struggle against a team that can strike out? Then on the other side of things, Toronto's offense, they don't strike out, but in terms of run score, they just haven't been able to manufacture that. So it's an intriguing matchup for two teams, I think, that are looking to get back on track here a little bit. So, how in the world, C-Bomb says he's listening, but he cannot text on this. It says grandma, but it's Grind My Gears Tuesday. Because he goes, you're riding your bike in this fog, dude. Be careful, man, all right? Be careful. Oof, man. All right. Yikes. What's grinding your gears, peeps? You can let us know. Get it off your chest if you'd like. We'll take a quick break. Back with more baseball, more Brewers talk coming up after these few words. Baseball, we know, is back, and that means it's also brat season, baby. So swing on into Mike's Star Market and stock up for game day the right way. From a fresh and wide variety of flavorful brats, you'll for sure find something that will feed the whole crew. Whether you're tailgating or you're doing some backyard grilling or you're just catching the game at home, nothing says baseball like brats on the grill. Make every pitch, every inning, and every bite count. Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire, your home for brat season. There's an interesting piece up on Brewers.com from Adam McCulvey, and it's obviously a topic that gets talked a lot about when we get to the beginning of the Brewer season and such, and it's always why do people maybe kind of overlook the Brewers or underappreciate them or undervalue them, however you want to phrase it. Why do the projections always kind of seem to miss out on the Brewers? And it's a really good piece by Adam McCulvey, and I'm not going to go through it all. But essentially it was Pammer, if you wanted to kind of know this too, and he went down a rabbit hole and such. So go out there and read it. But essentially it kind of ends. So why are the Brewers perennially undervalued? The answer is complex, it says, but one, their brand of player is just hard to project, and two, it's hard to know who to project because of different players and all this other stuff. I get it. I understand. I think those are all accurate such. But the other part for me, I think it's just simple. It's sports, man. It's sports, babe. It's if we could project it and we could predict everything and be right on it all, that's not sports. That's not one of the main things. That's not one of the main reasons why we love sports or why sports is already awesome as it is. We can sit here and this is what we do, right? As fans. Whether we're sitting in our man caves or we're sitting at the bar stool, we're sitting around the fire, we're sitting on the tailgate, or we're listening, we're doing this right now. We try to project, we try to predict, we try to analyze, we try to look at all this stuff. We have texting threads with our buddies. We do this all the time. And that's a big reason why we love sports is because of the unknown. We try to project it, but we don't know. We always say it's why they play the game, right? That's exactly right. A lot of people try to come off as they know all. They've got it all figured out. Their analysis, their thoughts, their opinions are the right ones and everybody else is wrong. Truth of the matter is, we don't know until the game is actually played. That's the beautiful thing about sports, right? We can do all the talking leading up to a game. We can do all of the predictions and the over-analysis and such. But until those teams hit the field or they hit the courts, all that talk doesn't matter. The talking is done and the results are done by the results of the game. And that to me is one of the most beautiful things about sports. It's the outcomes are decided on the field, on the courts, on the turf, wherever it's at, on the course. And then we could kind of go back and be like, man, we got that wrong. Or man, and then you can toot your own horn of like, yep, see, I called that. Got that right. And it's a never-ending cycle. It's a circle, right? We've all done it. When we get to the draft next week, if you hit your draft pick correct, you're going to toot your horn. Good. Go for it, man. Do it. If you don't, you're like, okay, well, why'd they do this? Okay, I could see that. Man, I don't like that. I hope I'm wrong. And then, we'll see. It's the thing is for next week when we get to the NFL draft, there's going to be people who absolutely love their picks for their favorite teams, or there's going to be people who don't get it and they're not happy and they're going to already. That's why I don't like to grade drafts right after the drafts to assign letter grades, because You're going to hear this a lot next week and the days after. Let it play out. We don't know how these picks are going to work out. Let's see them get on the field. Let's see them get into games and such. So while we have all of these, whether it's Pro Football Focus or these Pacoda projections or whatever the case may be, we have all this stuff. They're great talking points. They're tools, a part of a toolbox. But the core of every sports game and every league and all that is we don't know until the games actually get going. And the results are decided between the teams and between the athletes. That's still the heart and soul and still the beauty of sports in general, in my opinion. And I think there is a place for analytics. I think there is a place for, all these advanced stuff. But I don't think it's the be-all, tell-all. I still think you need some, whether it's from a coaching standpoint or a managerial standpoint, you still need to make decisions based off your gut. You still need to make decisions based off the flow of the game, the feel of the game. You could say, okay, I get it, like in an NFL game, they'll say, on fourth down now. Advanced analytics say there's a 60% say go for it or 60% chance to convert on this thing. Cool. Still got to make the play. That offensive line still has to block. That running back still needs to find that hole. That quarterback still needs to make that throw. That wide receiver still needs to make that catch. Or that defense still needs to make that tackle. You can't factor in, the guy making the tackle or whatever. It's analytics, those advanced numbers, they have a place, but they're still not the be-all, tell-all. So, anyways, it's an interesting piece. It's a good piece. Go check it out on Brewers.com, MLB.com. But I guess I kind of want to throw it out to the rest of you. You could call it old school, new school, whatever the case may be. But how much do you think analytics, advanced numbers, whatever you want to describe it or however you want to call it, should be should be involved in sports? Like if you were coaching, kind of put yourself in the position of a baseball manager or a football coach. How much would you personally kind of use analytics, advanced scouting, again, however you want to phrase it, as part of your decision-making process? Or if you were a general manager, maybe, would you want to look at, because you're going to hear a lot of this too, and you probably already have when it comes to the draft, right? RAS scores, relative athletic scores. Goody likes those. He kind of downplays it, but you kind of look at a trend. If you were a GM, how much would you value those analytic stuff? Or do you kind of like, you know what, I'm maybe a little bit more old school. I'm going to put on my scouting cap and I'm going to take out my notebook and I'm going to trust my eye and I'm going to trust, the film. Same as a coach or manager. Put yourself in those shoes. How much would you rely on analytics? So like, okay, you're an NFL coach on the sideline. It's 4th and 2. You're on the opponent's 35-yard line. Wind, weather, doesn't give you a great option to go for the field goal. Do you go for it? Do you go for the field goal? Do you punt? Or how much do you use analytics to help make your decisions? And obviously, I hope, I really hope that analytics aren't a part of like youth sports at this point in time, but I'm sure some leagues do it. So I'm asking, kind of put yourself in the shoes of maybe a D1 or pro level. How much would you utilize those numbers in your decision-making process? Again, whether it's constructing a team or coaching a team. Think about that for a hot minute. Let me know. All right. Got to take a quick break, and we'll wrap up the first quarter. We are flying on through here this morning. We'll be right back after these quick words. Spring is here, and you know what that means? It's the perfect time to freshen up your home as well. And at Carpet City Flooring Center, now is the time to take a look at what's under your feet and imagine, hey, what it could be. From soft, comfortable carpet that makes any room feel cozier to luxury vinyl planks and tile built for busy homes, there's something for every space, every budget, and every lifestyle. Maybe it's one room that needs a refresh, and maybe it's time for a full home update. Either way, their team is there to help guide you through it all, from choosing the right style to professional installation that you can count on. Because spring isn't just about cleaning out the old. It's about bringing in something better, a brighter space, a cleaner look, a home that feels new again. So if you're ready to upgrade this season, stop in and see what's possible. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire, where your next project starts from the floor up. So back to the question. If you were a coach, if you were a general manager, how much would you utilize kind of analytics and all that stuff to coach your team, manage your team, or build your team? I think the easy answer for me is, it's not going to be the be-all, tell-all. It's not going to be that. And I don't think it can be that. Can it have a part? Yeah. It's the phrase I like to say. It's a tool that's a part of the toolbox. It can be a part of it. Now, I think from a coaching standpoint, it gets a little bit more difficult because you got to make decisions like that in split seconds, right? You got to do that. And I know these teams now have these assistants, these whatever you want to call them, that are in their ear saying, well, hey, so this tells us that we should go for it. But I think there's so much that you still have to go by your gut. You still have to assess what is going on in real time. The numbers may say that, but how is your team doing? Is this guy getting dominated up front, which could derail that decision? Is this guy just, not making his shots, which could derail? There's so much that are a part of that I don't think, from a coaching standpoint, can you just 100% every time make the decision, all right, the numbers say go for it, we're going to go for it. I don't think you could do that, and I don't think that's smart, and that's just my opinion. There's other people that have studied this more, and there's other people that have a better feel for this and all that. I still feel like there is a human element to this whole thing, that you got to trust your gut, that you got to trust your instincts. And you kind of have to see what is going on in the game. From a general manager standpoint or a front office standpoint, yeah, you got a little bit more time and maybe a little bit more of an assessment or more evidence on players based off of these numbers and these analytics. And in this case, in the NFL, if we use it as like the RAS scores or whatever, you got a little bit more time. You got a little bit more, wide examples to do. And I think, again, you can use it. It could be a part of that process. I don't think it should be 100%. I think sometimes you still have to trust your eyes. You still have to trust your brain. You still have to trust your gut, the film, all that stuff. I think there's still that human element a part of it. And I still want that human element a part of it too. I don't want it to be all robotic, and I don't want it to be all computery and scientific and mathematics. It's still sports. It's still got to be that human side of everything. All right. Coming up next hour, speaking of all that good stuff, we're going to take a look at some potential options for the Packers at wide receiver coming up next week for the draft. And for you football fans and for you Packers fans out there, with the Dotavian Wicks trade, did it move up in terms of importance for you that, okay, Green Bay's definitely got to go out there and get a wide receiver in this draft? Maybe it's moved up in the priority list for you. I don't think it's moved up to number one, and I don't think anybody is there. But if we kind of use the narrative that is out there too, that this is a loaded draft or it's a deep draft with wide receivers, should Green Bay take advantage of that this year? If it comes at the cost of maybe not addressing a position that maybe has a little bit more of a need or importance at this point in time. it's easy for us to say draft best available, and that might very well be the mindset that they go in with. But when you look at, okay, Watson technically could be a free agent next year. Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks is gone. Matthew Golden's entering his second year. Savion Williams entering his second year. I think he, still a little bit unknown. Does that move the needle? Does that rise, a little bit in terms of importance to address that position with this upcoming draft? So we'll take a look at that and take a look at some of the names that could potentially be there for day 2, day 3 for Green Bay at the wide receiver department. Continue to send me your Grind My Gears, brought to you by Toyson Ford. What is it grinding your gears? Also your sports confessions for this morning. And I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. All right, best ones, I'll read up on the air. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. So we'll get to those coming up a little bit later on. I forgot to say good morning to Barb on our Section 105 video chat. So good morning, Barb, over there too. So if you're not driving, hit us up with those messages. Otherwise, be safe out there in the fog, okay? I still can't believe you're riding your motorcycle this morning there, C-Bomb. Holy moly, dude. Be safe. Be careful, man. All right? So, all right, just a couple minutes left to the top of the hour. So we'll get back to some more of your messages and your thoughts on that. And we are going to talk some more Badgers as well with RJ Cardinal. He'll be joining us coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. Really curious to get his thoughts on the Chris McIntosh ordeal and if he's got maybe some different names than what we threw out there yesterday. Or what's he hearing like in Madison? Maybe difference. Do they just promote from within? Does he feel like they need to go and get somebody from the Wisconsin family? Or does he prefer maybe somebody from that's outside, that's not a part of the Wisconsin family? So where are you at on that? All right? Where are you on that side? Just 2 minutes left. We got Morgan. Good morning, Morgan.
How you doing, Kasper?
I am doing well. There we go.
So, Doc Rivers leaving. No real surprise. But as a thought experiment, you know how athletes will like sports hop when Jordan went to baseball and that kind of thing? Is there any coach hopping that you would do, like a cross-sport coach hopping, like you would bring in, like say you could pick a football coach to come in and take Doc's job for the Bucks, whereas athletes cross over and bounce sports. Can you think of an instance where coaching would be effective in that, like just as a little experiment?
Probably not.
Not, period?
No.
What if you had to pick,
I mean, Lombardi coached basketball to a high school team to a championship, so I guess there's that.
Right. So if you say your assignment was, okay, you're a sports director, you have to pick one current NFL coach to put in the position on the sidelines with the Bucks next year. Who would you pull? Just for the sake of argument.
Sean McVay.
Okay. Why?
High energy. He's kind of a nerd, so he'd probably study and understand the game of basketball. Kind of like an Eric Spoelstra, maybe, that he's the head coach of the Miami Heat right now. So,
okay.
I'd go Sean McVay.
Now, what about if you had to pick a current baseball coach to bring on to basketball?
Pat Murphy. Why not?
Oh, just because? Pulling him from the Brewers and say, come and do what you can here with the Bucks?
Get your you-know-what together sort of thing. So.
Okay, so if you had to pick one coach of all time, so Lombardi would be on the list, greatest coach. Doesn't matter if it's from a Wisconsin team or not. But the greatest coach in your mind to take on all Wisconsin teams, like say they had to do basketball, football, and baseball, who would be the most universal coach in your opinion?
They have to be from Wisconsin?
No. Nope.
Like a Wisconsin or just
any coach in history as a skill set that would be able to tackle any of a Wisconsin team. So say you have the Bucks, you have the Brewers, you have the Packers, and you're going to put one universal, utilitarian, mass appeal, multi-skill set coach in the middle of that and say, all right, go. Who do you
I'll
think?
take Lombardi off because I know everybody's going to pick that. I'm going to go Phil Jackson. That's the first name that popped in my head.
And what about Phil Jackson? Like, what are the 3 bullet points that have you putting him right there in that list?
I mean, he's a winner.
Yeah.
He has proven to manage egos.
That's the
with
biggest.
Jordan, Kobe, Shaq, Rodman, Pippen, and all that.
Yeah.
And I think he's flexible in that sort of thing too. So.
And if you had to pick your sport, if you were the coach of any one sport, what would you pick?
Probably maybe basketball.
Okay.
So.
All right.
Thanks,
Good
Marge.
deal. Good job, Coach.
1 quarter in. We've got 3 more to go. We'll be back after these news updates. All right, here we go. Second hour, second quarter, kick it off right now on this Tuesday morning of April 14th. If you are out driving, it looks like it's still foggy. So be safe, be careful, take some extra time, especially with kiddos and with the bus pickups and such. So please be careful out there. Pay extra attention, okay? So let's do... Yeah, all right. So first hour, sorry, I got sidetracked there. First hour, we talked some Brewers. We talked a little Brewers, take it on the Blue Jays, beginning a 3-game series starting today. It's the 4th start of the Miz kid, Jacob Mizorowski. So we'll get back to some more Brewers chat throughout the morning here. Coming up next hour, we'll chat some Badgers, get the latest on the reaction from Chris McIntosh deciding to leave his post as athletic director for the Wisconsin Badgers. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal. We've got Toyson Ford grinding my gears Tuesday. So what is grinding your gears? Also your sports confessions and your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. All right. Best ones, hit me up. Appropriate ones, I'll read up on the air. So hit me up. Text it 715-830-1912. Or you can join in on the Section 105 chat room. All right, so you can go on over there. But don't text and drive this morning. Wait till you're done. Wait till you're somewhere where you're not, obviously on the road and that. So I do want to talk some Gritty Gold coming up here in just a little bit as we are inching closer and closer to the NFL draft next week. And a reminder, okay, because on Friday, Brandon and I are going to be recording a new episode of the Man Cave podcast. But we are going to be doing our 7-round mock drafts for, obviously, I'll be doing it for the Packers, obviously. He'll be doing it for the Vikings, and we're going to be using the mock draft simulator on Pro Football Network. So we're going to pick our 2 teams there, and we're going to let the computers simulate the rest, and then a real live draft on there. But I want to include all of you into it. So if you could, hit me up with an email at the podcast, mancavepodmail@gmail.com. mancavepodmail@gmail.com with what you would like to see your favorite team do. Now, you could do just the first round. Hey, I want to see my Eagles draft this person, or I want to see my Bears go after and get this person in the first round. That's fine. If you want to do the whole 7 round, awesome. You want to do just the first round? Awesome. I want to include your picks. So send those on over to me via email, mancavepodmail@gmail.com, so I could include them on Friday's episode of the Man Cave podcast. So speaking of which, I'm working on, I've got coming up on Friday too, we're going to have kind of some fan reps for every team. More details on that to come, but that should be a lot of fun to get to here. So, Tim in the Cooley region says, grind my gears. Brian Windhorst of ESPN is tired of the honest trade talk. Really, you and your network have been the ones that have been driving all the talk, trying to get him out of Milwaukee. You have created the chaos surrounding Giannis, and now you don't want to talk about it anymore. You helped create this, so own up to it. I did not see Windhorst say that, but if he did, yeah, I would have 100% agree with you, Tim. You can't sit there and be tired of it if you were a part of the chaos. You're exactly right. 100%. That's, yeah. I'll have to see if I can find that and listen to that. But, yeah, I totally agree with you, Tim. Totally agree. Man. Wow. I think I want to enjoy my summer this year, so I don't want it to fly by, okay? But I'm at the point, too, where I just, let's get this whole thing figured out so we don't have to go all summer. Now, for my position, maybe it'd be a little bit easier because I know sometimes in the summer and such, it gets a little bit slow. So that would be a talking point, but just from a straight-up fan perspective, nah. Hey, speaking of which, of another project that if you were listening to the podcast on Friday's episode, was it Friday's episode? Yeah, it was Friday's episode. No, I don't know. We talked about it on Friday, but it was not an episode. But for this summer, I'm going to work on a project since it is the 250th birthday of Team USA, United States of America. I'm going to be doing a countdown the whole month of June leading up to July 3rd. Every weekday, 10 each day of the most important, pivotal, awesome, best, whatever verb, whatever adjective, whatever word we want to use to describe. it'll equal 250. The top 250 sports moments in American history. Going back to 1776. If we can find a sports moment from 1776, can't be the American Revolution. It's got to be a sports moment. But I'm going to put this together. I'm not going to rank them. That's just that gets too hard. But I'm going to put together a list of 250. And I need your help. So if you feel like you've got some, and we know some of the obvious ones. I mean, the 80 Olympics is going to be on there, okay? Jackie Robinson is going to be on there. Those type of things, those are obvious. But I could use some help because 250 is a lot. So I am recruiting all of you to help me out. If you got any, again, hit me up with that email, mancavepodmail@gmail.com. It's easy for me to just kind of organize it that way instead of getting a text or instead of, I don't even check Facebook Messenger, to be honest with you, because I get so much spam on there. So I've kind of shut that down. So if you can email me, mancavepodmail@gmail.com, that's the easiest way to go about it. So otherwise, I'm going to lose track of everything if it's texted or anything like that. Tim, you sent me the screenshot. Okay, yeah. Oh, Wendy is tired of the honest trade talks. Oh, boy. No, thank you. Nah, I don't think that's going to make the cut, Surveyor. One of the top 250 has to be the birth of one Surveyor. I don't think that's going to make it. Sorry. All right. Tell you what, let's regroup. All right, let's take a quick 2-minute timeout. All right, we got to pay some bills. Let's take a quick timeout. And coming up, let's get to some football talk. Let's take a look at some of the potential wide receivers that the Packers may be drafting. And I'm going to throw this question back at you, Packers fans. With the trade of Dontayvion Wicks, and right now, because this is all we could use, right now, you don't have a ton of options under contract for the foreseeable future. How important is it for Green Bay to draft a receiver fairly early next week? How important do you think it is for Green Bay to draft a wide receiver fairly early? Now, when I say fairly early, I mean we could say day 2. We know they don't have a day 1 pick. Or do you think that's too early? Should be early day 3, like round 4. Round 5. Dontayvion Wicks was a round 5 pick. Hit me up, okay? Let's take a quick break, and we're going to get to some football talk coming up after these few words. Spring is here, and it is the perfect time for a fresh start at a new ride. Whether you're planning some road trips or tackling some weekend projects, or you're just ready for something new, now is the time to upgrade. And at Toyson Ford, you'll find a great selection of trucks, SUVs, and cars built to fit your lifestyle and your budget. Plus, their team is here to make your car buying experience easy and stress-free. This spring, drive something that you love. Toyson Ford, your next adventure starts here. So we've got the NFL draft. Shocking breaking news next week. Starting to kind of get into it a little bit more. I will say this. I'm Masters into books. Baseball season's well underway. March Madness is done. I know a lot had happened this past weekend from a Wisconsin sports standpoint, but it's starting to kick in a little bit more now for me. That NFL draft is coming up here. So with the news, it's officially official now, but with the Packers trading Dontavian Wicks and adding another pick, 5th-round pick from the Eagles this year, 6th-round pick next year, and knowing the kind of current right now, because that's all we could use, contract statuses of Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, they got Matthew Golden for last year, Savion Williams. How important, and they lost Romeo Doubs too, how important do you think it is in terms of a need for the Packers to draft a wide receiver fairly early? I mean, when you look at the depth chart right now, it's Christian Watson, it's Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, Savion Williams, Bo Melton, Sky Moore. Did it move up with the trade of Dontavian Wicks? Did it trade up, or did that move kind of move up the importance that Green Bay's got to come away with a wide receiver fairly, especially if we look at or believe the experts out there that say this is a draft that's got some depth, it's pretty loaded at wide receiver. If that is the case, and again, that's all based off projection, right? That's all based off projection. Let's get these guys on the field. But based off of on paper and obviously all the scouting reports and the videos and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. If this is a draft that's loaded with wide receivers, I think you take advantage of it. Because, again, the prevailing theory for a lot of these experts out there is that, okay, overall, this may not be a loaded draft and such, but if there is a group that has some depth to it, maybe take advantage of it this year. And if it is wide receiver, all right. Now, I'll be honest. The fan in me, if we get to day 2, Friday, and with the 52nd overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select insert name wide receiver from insert college, I'll probably be like, oh, over a corner, over a D tackle. Yeah, there's probably going to be a big part of me that's going to be, oh, man. It's not the biggest need right away. I'll admit it. Okay, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of you that are going to be like that too. And I don't know if that's going to be the case. I wouldn't mind it, though, if Green Bay used a 4th or 5th on another wide receiver. Now, who are some of those options, whether it is 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th? Well, let's take a look at a couple of wide receivers that visited Green Bay as part of the top 30 visits that have been reported, that have been out there. Okay? So we've got, first up, let's take a look at Ted Hurst. He's a bigger wide receiver. You're talking 6'4", 206 pounds from Georgia State. Even with that size, he ran a 40 at a 4.42 rate. Athletic score from the combine of all wide receivers, he ranked 5th. Total numbers for wide receivers, 17th. Right now, he's projected as a 2nd-round pick. Day 2 overall. His overview from Lance Zierlein Long-legged, vertical-minded wideout with the speed and ability to stress corners from snap to whistle. He is quick to beat press and hit the accelerator into his route work. He has hips, feet, and balance to run a more robust route tree than what we saw him from college. He's an above-average ball tracker, deep and dangerous catch and run option. Hands are average, and he needs to become more assertive on 50-50 balls on all three levels. He appears capable of surviving the jump in competition and projects as a Z receiver with quality upside. Some other quick notes about Mr. Ted Hurst here. Just a little bit more, I guess, from the physical traits here. RAS, the relative athletic score, 9.91. Produced 1,999 receiving yards and 15 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons at Georgia State. Forced 18 missed tackles and had 16 contested catches. And probably the other big part of this whole thing, in terms of a Green Bay perspective, he was a Senior Bowl participant, which we know Green Bay is big onto the Senior Bowl participants, right? We know this. So, let's take a look at a couple more receivers that have some Packers ties because top 30 visits. All right, next up on the list, and this is a little bit more of a recent one. It's another taller receiver. Chris Brazzell II from Tennessee. You're talking 6'4", $198, 4.37. 4.37 40-yard dash. And looking at you want a player comp from Lance Zierlein on this thing? Christian Watson. Projected as a day 2 pick, long-limbed Z receiver with the ability to create downfield for an offense, thirsty to make more explosive plays outside. His 2025 tape shows the game slowing down for him, allowing the production to catch up with his traits. He builds to speed with long strides and dominates above the rim. He's adept at using length and body control to capture airspace against corners. He's a more competent route runner than most field stretcher types, but he needs to become more physical on contested targets underneath. Didn't see many in-your-face press challenges this past season, but he's likely to get an early taste of it as a pro. Too high shells and zone-heavy looks can shrink his snap-to-snap impact, but the quick strike potential is real. Just a little bit more about him, too. Just a quick kind of numbers-wise. Mentioned 6'4", $198. He's a Tulane transfer who led the SEC in receiving yards and touchdowns in 2025. Caught 136 career passes and averaged over 15 yards per catch. Deep threat with an 80-inch wingspan. Jay Bill's going to love that. Low percentage of drops. Packers fans are probably saying, get that guy now, right? Get that guy now. So those are a couple of like taller, bigger wide receivers. So if they re-sign Christian Watson, which I think a lot of us are assuming they want to, would they bring in another taller one? Or do they need maybe a little bit of I don't want to say smaller, do they need a more of a slot guy and such? But if you look at the top 30 visits right now, I mean, they're going with a little bit bigger wide receivers because the other one, East Carolina, Anthony Smith, 6'2", $197, relative athletic score of a 9.20. Again, he is another lanky, deep threat wide receiver with 4.4 speed. Had a 1,000-yard season in 2025, the Military Bowl MVP, where he caught 4 passes for 156 yards and 2 touchdowns. Now, he's a little bit of an older prospect, but again, a bigger wide receiver that Green Bay's bringing in for a top 30 visit. This one, he may be, a lot of projections have him possibly as an undrafted guy, but maybe a late day 3 option if Green Bay were to go that route. I think part of this too is going to be a little interesting for me to see if they do draft a receiver. Does it tell us what their plan is going into the offseason or going into this season in terms of who they want to keep? Because if you look at the roster, right, we know we got the big downfield threat of Christian Watson. Matthew Golden, 5'11", $191. Maybe they view him as kind of that similar role to a Jaden Reed. I feel like too many people still pigeonhole Jaden Reed as a slot receiver, but Jaden Reed can be a guy that goes down the field and stretching the field. So maybe they look at this as, okay, Matthew Golden is the replacement for Jaden Reed. So they're looking for bigger wide receivers because right now on their roster, Jaden Reed's 5'11". Matthew Golden, 5'11". Savion Williams is a bigger receiver, 6'4", 222. I mean, that's big. If you throw in Bull Melton, we know he's got the speed, but he's also 5'11". So it kind of, when you look at what they currently have on their roster, yeah, it kind of makes sense that maybe they want another Christian Watson body type. A taller dude, 6'4", around 200 pounds, but that can run out of the gym, can get you that speed. So it makes sense. And I don't know if that would necessarily mean that, if they signed another Christian Watson type, that means that he's not going to be re-signing with the Packers. I don't think that tells us that. I just think when you look at the current roster makeup and you look at maybe for the future, for the next couple of years, they maybe want a little bit more size. 6'2", 6'3", those type of dudes. Because they've got a couple 5'11s with Reed right now and Matthew Golden. Savion's, yeah, he's got the height, but he's a little bit more built, right? I don't necessarily think he's going to be the speedster for this team. So I think we're kind of seeing a type if we just base it off of some of these visits that Green Bay's maybe potentially targeting in this upcoming draft. And of those 3 guys that we kind of talked about that they brought in, I like the Ted Hurst one. Obviously, when you talk about the kid from Tennessee, Chris, I think there's probably a little bit more athleticism in terms of speed and such. But, I mean, you look at his athleticism scores at the Combine, Ted was 5th and Chris was 7th. Yeah, both those guys, if that was the option, I think there's a lot of good traits there. But I think I'd be, if it were up to me, and again, we don't know how the board's going to fall. We don't know how it's all going to, shake out. But if we could pick and choose where we want guys drafted or positions drafted for Green Bay, I'd probably be looking at around 5. Maybe round 4. Because I'd like to see this team address corner, defensive line, early, first, offensive line, and 2. I think those are the top 3. And in fact, don't be surprised if they maybe draft a running back in round 4 or fairly early too. The Marshawn Lloyd thing, we just don't know. Or maybe they give it another shot this year and they're going to put their eggs in that basket that he's going to be the guy that they thought he was going to be when they drafted him. But I wouldn't be surprised if they decide, hey, look, we don't know anything about him. He's had issues with his hamstring. We can't count on it. Josh Jacobs, how many more years do we have with him? I wouldn't be surprised if running back is a fairly early option, especially maybe a running back that gets you a little bit more of that versatility, a guy that, kind of that scat back sort of thing. All right. We got to take a quick break. Plenty more to get to, though. We'll be right back after these few words. Road trip season is right around the corner. Are you and your vehicle ready to go the distance? Before you hit the highway, make sure that your vehicle is in top shape with the help from AJM Automotive. From oil changes and tire checks to brakes and engine work, their experienced team will make sure that you are ready for wherever the road takes you. And now with 2 convenient locations in Eau Claire, getting your vehicle serviced has never been easier. Plan the trip, and AJM Automotive will handle the rest. Visit ajmautomotiveservices.com to schedule your appointment today. You know, speaking of the wide receiver stuff here for Green Bay, you know, we've talked a lot about Watson. We've talked a lot about Jaden Reed. We've talked a lot about Matthew Golden. And obviously we're talking about could they draft a receiver maybe day 3, early day 3 and such. I honestly don't know what Cordero Patterson is going to project into. I really don't. And I went back to his draft profile, and you read it, and you're like, oh, okay, that's an intriguing pick here. Like the versatility that he brings. And I'm just reading, you know, some of his stuff. 6'4", 220, ran a 4.4 840. And his NFL comp was Cordero Patterson. And the overview that they wrote about him said, developmental wideout who offers an alluring blend of physical gifts and untapped potential. Williams is big, strong, and fast, but very raw as a route runner and is unreliable with his hands. His production is uneven as a traditional wideout, but he adds a dynamic kick to the offense as a gadget runner and has catch and run option underneath. He excels on power sweeps. We saw that a lot with him last year. And is willful enough for consideration on short yardage and goal line carries on direct snaps. The ball skills can be hit or miss, but there are flashes to work with on tape. The difference between, quote, siren song or, quote, pot of gold could rest in Williams' technical development and the creativity of his play caller. Reading a lot of that and then looking back at his rookie year is kind of interesting. One scout, and this was actually from the NFC last year, said, it's so hard to not fall in love with all of his traits. Worst case scenario, you let him return kicks and find a way to get the ball in his hands 5 or 6 times per game on offense. And it's hard not to think, looking back at some of the games last year, did Green Bay read a lot of that, and that's how they kind of utilized him in year one? So you look at his numbers. I mean, he caught the ball 10 times. 10 targets, 10 receptions, 78 yards, 1 touchdown. Rushing, 11 carries, 37 yards. Obviously, the kick returner, too. And he's a 3rd-round pick. So, I mean, we have to have a decent expectation from him. We have to have a fairly, I don't want to say like super high bar. Like Matthew Golden's bar is higher. We are expecting a lot more from Matthew Golden this year. And whether it's from him or just from the team itself to give him more opportunities. But what should be a realistic expectation for Savion Williams? This is a 3rd-round pick from last year. It's not like he's a 7th-round pick. We got to see something. Is he a guy that you could put out there as a normal wide receiver, or is he just a straight-up gadget player? And if that's a straight-up gadget player, how many opportunities, does he get? Do we have to find more? Do we have to find better ways to get him more involved? Do we have to find something where he can really affect the offense and be a big-time playmaker? This is something that I think that Matt LaFleur and his offensive staff and this team, obviously they want to find other ways, a lot of ways, to get the ball into Matthew Golden's hands. But I also feel like they got to find a role for Savion Williams. If he's got these traits, if he's got these athletic traits, a bigger wide receiver that could do all that stuff, you got to find something that works. And I don't know if it was just simply, okay, you knew what he was when he was in the game, what was going to happen. A one-trick type of pony, scouting reports and such. But I don't know. We'll see. I think that's a name that is kind of, there's a wide receiver that's currently at this roster that not only a lot of people are talking about, but I think heading into year 2, we got to see a little something. And maybe if Green Bay doesn't draft a wide receiver, maybe they don't draft a receiver till round 6 or round 7. Maybe that kind of tells you a lot about what the Packers view of Savion Williams. I don't know. We'll do some more countdowns and such for the Packers as we lead into the draft coming up here next year. So, but we'll take a quick break. Take a quick break here as we start to wrap up the second hour and get into a little bit of halftime. Send me your Grind My Gears Tuesdays. Send me your sports confessions. And send me your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. All right? Send those on over. 715-830-1912. We'll take a quick break as we start to wrap up the second quarter. Coming up after these few words. Looking for the perfect place to kick back this spring and summer? Well, then you need to head on over to the VFW Post 305, Eau Claire's go-to spot to relax, grab a drink, and enjoy the moment. Inside, it's a great place to meet up with friends, but when the weather warms up, it's all about the patio. With one of the best river views in town, there's no better place to soak up the sunshine, to unwind after work, or spend a weekend afternoon. Cold beverages, great people, and a view that you can't beat. That's the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire, your spot to hang out this season. Let's catch up on a couple text. Surveyor says, I don't think drafting a wide receiver early is necessarily when we drafted too early last year. Now a guy in the 5th or 6th would suffice. Someone like Caleb Douglas of Texas Tech or Josh Cameron out of Baylor. Texter, don't have a name. Says, concerned about Ted Hurst's hands are average and could be better in contested situations per scouting report. Didn't face top competition at Georgia State and is now going to the NFL. Well, I mean, you know, the competition-wise, too, you could say the same thing about Christian Watson. I mean, there's a lot of receivers, successful receivers that you could say maybe didn't go up against the greatest competition and they still succeed in the NFL. And I think, you know, with the contested catch thing, one thing if you look at the NFL draft profile, NFL.com draft profile, this is where maybe, you know, we got to, and I'm guilty of this too, we got to look at a lot of scouting reports. Whereas the one on NFL.com, you know, one of his weaknesses says struggles to bring in tough catches despite his wingspan. Also says here that he's an above-average ball tracker, deep and dangerous catch and run option. The hands are average, and he needs to become more assertive on 50-50 balls on all 3 levels. Yet you go to Pro Football Focus, and it's the complete opposite. And their draft scouting report on him says here, where did it go here? They ranked a 9 out of 10 for his hands. He boasts a massive catch radius and consistently maximizes it, extending to attack the ball in the air. He posts strong catch rates, including in contested situations where he ranks in the 95th percentile. So, I mean, you have 2 scouting reports on him that are kind of the opposite when it talks about contested catches and catch radiuses and that. And then there was a third one I was looking at during the break, and it's kind of in the middle between the 2. So, again, how much do you factor in? It goes back to a topic that we were talking about the first hour. How much do you factor in analytics? How much do you factor in those advanced numbers? And how much do you factor in what your eyes and your brain and your gut tells you? And it was the other one that I saw from The Ringer, Todd McShay. He compared him to Christian Watson and Marquez Valdez-Scantling. So I don't know if that means anything there, but it was, just kind of interesting. You look at a lot of different scouting reports. There's not one that is the be-all, tell-all. So one thing on here, too, that Todd McShay had to say about him, he had some impressive head-top catches in the red zone in college. Does a lot of the dirty work over the middle of the field and makes tough catches in traffic while getting hit. So you got one draft thing that says he could be better at contested catches. You got one that raves about it, and you got one that says he does a lot of dirty work in over the middle with those tough catches. That's where we love again. It's the unknown when it comes to a lot of this stuff out there. But all right. Hey, continue to send your thoughts on over. All right. Text it 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line. Or again, you can join in on the Section 105 chat room. So coming up next hour, we're going to get to RJ Cardinal. We're going to talk some Badgers. What's he hearing? And about some names that could replace Chris McIntosh. For you as Badger fans, do you want to see somebody that is a part of the Wisconsin family, that knows the Badgers, that knows the university, that understands the university, or do you want maybe an outside perspective, maybe bringing in a different voice, a different style, if you will? What would be your preference? What if, like the board or the hiring committee at Wisconsin called you and said, hey, what do you think? What would be your preference? We'll get RJ's thoughts on that, and maybe he'll throw out some different names that we kind of talked about. We threw out a list from yesterday. So that's coming up. Also coming up, we'll get to some Grind My Gears, Toyson Ford, Grind My Gears Tuesday, some sports confessions, and some more I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So you still got plenty of time to send those on over. Brewers will be back in action tonight, taking on the Dodgers. Blue Jays, the other blue team, taking on the Blue Jays at American Family Field. So that game will be at 6:40. You can catch it on the radio dials, 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Pre-game coverage will be starting at 35 minutes prior, so about 6:05. And kind of going back to a topic that we discussed in the first hour here, just kind of a poll question sort of thing. If you were a coach or a general manager or a baseball manager at a pro level or at a D1 level, okay, try to put yourself in those shoes. How much would you use analytics to affect your decision making? Now, coaching wise, right, it's probably got to be really quick. General manager wise, front office wise, you get a little bit more time. You get a little bit more to kind of like research it, think about it, analyze it, all that stuff. But how much for you as a general manager or you as a coach would you personally utilize analytics in some of your decision-making process? Again, I know it's easy for us to kind of sit in our armchairs or desk chairs or wherever we're at right now and say, I wouldn't use it at all, do this. But would you? I mean, let's be a little honest in this thing. So we'll revisit that topic. It was kind of a fun one in the first hour and kind of get some more of your input on that too. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off here in less than a minute. So we got some news updates. We'll hit up a little Grind My Gears Tuesday to open up the 8 o'clock hour before we get to RJ at about, let's say 15-ish or so minutes. So get your Grind My Gears Tuesdays on over, all right? Send those on over. It's all about a Feel Better Tuesday with some sports confessions and some Grind My Gears Tuesday. So we'll get to those. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk. Maybe we'll even get back to a little bit more draft talk as we are just a little over a week away from the NFL draft. It's starting to kick in for me. I don't know about the rest of you, but it's starting to feel like it's almost that time. We're almost there. We're almost getting there. So, all right. Quick news updates break, and we'll be back to kick off the third quarter. Coming up. All right, here we go. Third quarter, third hour, kicking off right now. You crazy kiddos out there, thanks for making us a part of your starts. You should be up and at it. It's 8 o'clock, all right? Unless you third shift or worked late. Then I totally get it. So, but, yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, tuning in. Still, man, is it still that foggy out there? Because I'm looking at, so I got a window right to the wax studio, and it's got the sky cam from WEAU 13 on there, and it's just gray. So I'm assuming that means it's still foggy as all get out. I should probably just walk out of the studio and go look out there. But if it is that foggy, hey, be careful. All right, be careful. We're gonna chat with RJ Cardinal coming up in just a little bit. So we'll talk to him about the new AD, potentially some names, what's he hearing down in Madison, recapping the Badger men's hockey team falling in a national championship to Denver. We got Austin Rapp that's coming back to Wisconsin basketball. So plenty of Badger stuff to hit up with Mr. RJ Cardinal. That's coming up in about 15 or so minutes. We'll get back to some more Brewers talk here this morning as we get set for the series opener tonight, taking on the Blue Jays. So what else do we got on the docket here? We're gonna do some sports confessions, but I need you to send me your sports confessions. Have fun with it. Make it appropriate. You're like, man, you know what? I gotta confess my sports sins. DK, I gotta confess. I didn't wear my lucky boxers or something like that, and that's why the Brewers got swept by the Nationals or something like that. So have a little fun with it, okay? We as sports fans, we are very superstitious. May not think you are, but you are. But you are. Send me your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying blank, but I'm just saying blank. It is also a Toys and Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. So what is grinding your gears? You know what is grinding my gears? Cancer. Dickie V. Dick Vitale, the great Dick Vitale, announcing he has cancer for the 5th time. Melanoma diagnosis. He announced he has melanoma in his lung and liver cavity, but this will be the 5th time. He has beaten melanoma already. He's beaten lymphoma. He has beaten vocal cord cancer. He has beaten lymph node cancer. He said in a statement yesterday, I'm 4 for 4, and I'm fully confident I'm going to make it 5 for 5. I flipping hate cancer. I think a lot of us, maybe all of us, unfortunately, have had to deal with it in one way or the other, whether it was a family member, a friend, or anything like that. But this, it's 2026. We got to figure out a way to knock this opponent out and get rid of this thing, this disease. But a 5th time, I hate that C word. I hate it. It grinds my gears. But Dickie V, man, going up against it for a 5th time. Let's go 5 for 5. Let's go 5 for 5 for Dickie V. But yeah, that's grinding my gears, and it grinds my gears every single day when I see a sad story about that. Man, I hate cancer. I hate it. Hate it. Hate it. All right. If anybody else has something maybe different when it comes to Grind My Gears Tuesday, let me know. Okay. Send it on over. But again, Brewers wise, they're going to be back at it tonight. Hopefully ending their losing streak. Maybe that's what's grinding your gears, that they don't get that losing streak up to 6. We get the Miz Kid for his 4th start of the season. Should be another good pitching matchup, though. We got Kevin Gausman going for the Toronto Blue Jays as well. So we'll get back to previewing that, but 4th start for the Miz. I'm hoping that we see, once we get, maybe he's got a little bit of a stamina issue. Hopefully the fundamentals don't completely fall off the rails. But then the walks start to creep up for him. I think when we look at the first 3 starts of Jacob Mizorowski so far this season, that's probably the thing we can nitpick or kind of scrutinize and kind of critique, is when that stamina maybe starts to go down, that's when the mechanics start to flail off, and that's when the walks creep up, and that's when it kind of falls off the rails for Jacob Misiorowski. But overall, in the first 3 games, I think you got to be satisfied and you got to be happy with what we have seen from him so far. And I hope he can continue to do that. It's just when he gets to that point, when that stamina starts to creep in, how do you combat that? How do you kind of just like take a deep breath, relax the emotions, dial it in, grind through it, get through that inning? I think that's another step that Misiorowski has to take. And Brewers offense going up against Kevin Gausman, who has 26 strikeouts this year. To compare, Misiorowski's got 28. So, can this Brewers offense get back on track tonight? You look at we went through some of the numbers, and I'll revisit those a little bit later on with this Toronto team. But from the pitching standpoint of things, they strike out a lot, but they also, they give up some runs. So which Brewers offense is going to show up? Which Brewers, are they going to be able to put up, a decent amount of runs against a very good pitcher tonight? Or is it going to be like what we saw the last few games? Couple hits, no run support for Jacob Misiorowski. Who's going to step up? Who's going to kick it into gear? Especially no Christian Yelich. I would assume Christian Yelich not going to be in the lineup. Let's go. I'm hoping we'll find a little bit more about potential Jackson Chourio update here fairly soon. I know the latest was just a few days ago. Yeah, this was just a few days ago. But said that we're progressing and in general feeling everything is better. Chourio said via his interpreter, hopefully here soon I'll be able to come back. Still not cleared for hitting, but little by little we're adding more things. Chourio won't need any more imaging before he's cleared to hit, according to Pat Murphy. Again, this was back on the 10th. At the moment, the medical staff is most worried about the force that would be applied to Chourio's hand on a check swing, so they ordered more time. They're satisfied with the rate it's healing, and there's no reason for it to stop. So, man, would really like to get Jackson Chourio back, especially with no Christian Yelich in the lineup, right? So, dang. Yeah. Maybe I'll save this for after we talk to RJ. When is the time running out for Joey Ortiz, do you think? Because we are seeing David Hamilton getting some starts at shortstop, but David Hamilton is a very, very good defensive infielder too. That guy has got a cannon. If you haven't been watching some of the games or you haven't seen some of the clips, that dude, he has got a strong throwing arm. And he can cover some range too. The versatility that he brings from third to second to short. And we've seen him getting some starts ahead of Joey Ortiz. Obviously with Cooper Pratt kind of waiting in the wings here too. When is that time coming? Is time running out? Right now, Joey Ortiz, when you look at it from an offensive standpoint, he's hitting 220. His career average right now is 233. Okay? His slugging right now is only a 220. His OPS is only a 475. He's a career 644 in his limited career. But at what point does time run out for Joey Ortiz? And more opportunities for him. I think it's getting there. I think it's potentially getting there to be real, but I don't know. Clock is ticking. All right, let's take a break and we'll switch gears and talk some Badgers with Mr. RJ. Lots to get to with this Chris McIntosh news. What are some names that maybe he would like to see What are some names that maybe he's heard about as a potential replacement for Chris McIntosh? Are they similar to the names that we threw out there yesterday? So lots to discuss with RJ. Let's take a break and get right to it. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. I just want to jump right into it because we have lots to catch up on with our guy, Mr. RJ Cardinal, in the Badger world. So, RJ, first of all, good morning, sir. How are you doing on this fine Tuesday morning?
Oh, could be better after Saturday, but hockey had a good season. Just couldn't get it done in the championship game, but other than that, doing pretty good.
Yeah. Hey, we'll get to hockey in a second, but the big news, dude, Sunday, Chris McIntosh reported he's leaving to join the Big Ten in a role. First things first, what was your first thought, or what was your first reaction when you heard the news? How surprised were you?
Very odd timing for it all to happen. And the first thought I had was, well, he's jumping ship because he knows he's the one who can't right the ship, especially when you have a new chancellor who's going to be coming in, hasn't been named yet. The university system president was fired 2 weeks ago. Not sure what all that entails in terms of hiring a new chancellor, but so there's two people above him that are on interim basis right now or just not filled. So right now, UW system in general just seems to be in a whole bunch of disarray, and then specifically here in Madison as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this process plays out now moving forward. But first thoughts were it's not even a lateral move. It's a brand new position that was created. And they had him specifically in mind, which I don't know how a VP of strategy can come from probably one of the least set up NILs and athletic departments in the Big Ten, but that's where the Big Ten thought they had some value in him. And talking to some other people who, dive into this stuff more than I do, the average amount of salary for somebody second, like just under the commissioner, is $500,000. So not sure how much of a pay cut he's taking. So definitely not a lateral move. I think it's a desperation move to leave before he gets fired at some point in time under a new chancellor.
Man, so looking at you mentioned the chancellor part in this too. I mean, there's some big positions within this university and such that they got to fill. Do you think that at this point, do they look for a chancellor first that has input on the athletic director? Does that not have any bearings on this thing? I mean, how do you think that process should play out?
Well, the Board of Regents has said that the interim chancellor is going to be the one who will be making the decision and decide when the process is starting for hiring a new athletic director. So I don't know if that means they're tending to lean towards him as the new chancellor, or if they're just, looking for something here to at least say, hey, we're on it. So it's all like really weird on how all this timing is going on. But Jennifer Monken, the outgoing chancellor, is done at the academic year, late June, I believe, or maybe she's even gone in May still. So the one person who seemed to be backing McIntosh is gone. You're going to have a new chancellor who, much like when you get a new AD or a new GM in pro sports, a lot of the times they want to hire their own coach. So new chancellor might want to have different ideas for the athletic department. Hopefully actually ideas that are paying attention to the athletic department, because quite frankly, it didn't seem like Jennifer Monken really cared about it. It's odd that when she leaves UCLA, UCLA starts to rebuild their athletic department for the better. So hopefully Wisconsin can now do that moving forward. But yeah, it's the interim chancellor is going to be the one at some point leading this job search. So we'll see what happens. But all sorts of weird stuff going on in terms of how, when, why. Then you have the whole thing of if it is an interim chancellor, what kind of AD is going to take that job, not knowing their future boss.
Right.
So it's all just kind of a weird timing thing, and especially when it's effective immediately in terms of a resignation. I think it's more or less he decided to quit, and they decided, well, you don't need to be here anymore, so just turn in your resignation. We'll see you later. Bye.
Gotcha. Interesting. So I want to throw a couple names your way here first, but let me ask you this. Would you like to see an athletic director that comes in that is a part of the Wisconsin family, that maybe knows what Wisconsin, from the limitations or the good things or the positives that it brings? Or would you like to see maybe somebody from the outside that just brings a completely new perspective and a fresh voice to the athletic department?
I think I'd like to see somebody like Pat Richter come in, where, he was a Badger, and you don't necessarily have to have gone on and played pro football or pro sports, whatever. But he was a Badger. After his pro career was done, he worked as VP of personnel for Oscar Mayer for almost 20 years, and came in to really be more of a business side of things. He had to make the tough decisions to cut sports. He had to make the tough decisions to get Wisconsin back in the black. So give me somebody with Wisconsin ties who isn't necessarily working in athletics, because right now you are dealing with personnel. You are dealing with the NIL money on how to divvy that $20 million that's part of the revenue share. You are dealing with the actual business side of it now. So somebody who understands but isn't necessarily a career athletics person. Give me somebody who is a career business person to come in and help make those financial decisions, and somebody with a little bit of a name recognition, so those donors can start coming in with more money based on, hey, I remember this person when they were here. They did a great job. And I'd like to help them get Wisconsin back on track.
So I'm going to give you a couple names that have Wisconsin ties, and I just kind of want your analysis. Such. Let's start off with, from Notre Dame, Executive Deputy Athletic Director Mario Morris. And you talk about that. His background is finance and a lot of business stuff, and he was with Wisconsin, obviously, before going over to Notre Dame. He led, a lot of the budget and that sort of stuff. I mean, you probably already know all this, but what about Mario Morris? Would that be somebody that would intrigue you?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, he's on the financial side. Like right now, that's what you need. Like they would be a great candidate solely based on, and it turns into a money manager. Like, if you think of like the Packers, we need to find our Russ Ball, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, good. That's a great comparison.
Give me the person.
Yeah.
But our Russ Ball is going to be the head guy. Or if the head guy is just the figurehead, and it's like, hey, that's like Elroy Hirsch. Elroy Hirsch was a figurehead AD. He was the guy who was getting people to donate all the money. Then he hired people to do everything else. Like, if that's not your AD, I'd be a call to be like, hey, I need you as my number two, and as I'm doing the glad handing, kissing babies, handshakes, all that kind of stuff, I need you doing the dollars. I need you crunching the numbers, making sure stuff is going to work out as the money's coming in. But that'd be a good one.
Let's go through the other. Now, these have a little bit more of like athletic directors, they're current athletic directors right now. Sean Frazier, currently at Northern Illinois, has been there since 2013, but he was deputy AD with the Badgers from 2007 to 2013.
Yeah, I met him a few times while he was here. A great guy, good sense of athletics and all that kind of stuff. I guess he helped move Northern Illinois into the Mountain West Conference. So some some weird kind of things there. That's going to be a lot of spending for them. So I'm not sure if, maybe hopefully they got enough money to go travel to Boise every year and all that kind of stuff in their sports. But that's football only, I guess. But still, like the guy, he understands Wisconsin. He was here under Alvarez. And was that partially Pat Richter? I can't remember when Pat Richter retired in what year. But I like Frazier. Good sports guy, good sense of how to run an athletic department. But I'd have to probably want somebody at a higher level in terms of NIL, just because I'm not sure what exactly Northern Illinois' experience is in actual pulling the donations and getting enough money to get some players in there. But wouldn't be a bad choice. Just would be looking for somebody with Power 5 experience over Frazier.
So maybe that takes away this one, but she also has spent a lot of time at Wisconsin and was on a lot of committees in the NCAA and the Big Ten Conference. She's currently the athletic director at Idaho, Terry Golick.
I actually loved Terry Golick when she was here. She basically was told the women's programs are yours. So she basically was the women's athletic director back in the day. And yeah, like you said, she's worked on almost the NCAA level, the conference level, and in terms of an AD. I actually think she'd be a pretty good pick. I know she's up there in age, probably getting a little more towards retirement than getting a promotion to come on back to Wisconsin. So not sure how long that would be, but maybe that could be a pick in terms of, I'll be there for a couple of years, not really caring who your boss is going to be, and I'll help maybe transition somebody into the role, and you go ahead and hire somebody under her who will be under her wing, or she's there until whoever the new chancellor is feels it's time to move on, or she feels it's time to move on to retirement.
And then I've got another name on here, and he's currently the athletic director at Iowa State, and he graduated from UW Oshkosh, was with UW-Wisconsin as an associate AD and deputy AD for a while. That's Jamie Pollard.
Yeah, he'd be a good pick too. But it is one of those. I think he's 61 right now. He's got a pretty good thing going on at Iowa State, where the basketball and football are doing pretty good. We'll see what happens now, though, with football, with everybody picking up and moving to Penn State, including almost their entire roster. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But I'd find it hard to believe he'd want to leave Iowa State, even if it is returning home, more so because, from the outside looking in, you're looking at this athletic department and this NIL collective and not really seeing any cohesiveness whatsoever from top to bottom. So I think he might be in a little too sound of a spot to consider coming to Wisconsin, but I would like that one as well.
Is there any other names out there that maybe you were kind of looking at and such that we didn't mention?
Not really. It's not one I've dove far into yet. Mm-hmm. Really the only two I even was looking at right away were Pollard and Frazier, and so even some of the names you mentioned, I forgot about them. But it's one of those. It becomes hard because you really need somebody to be able to pick this athletic department up from the bootstraps, and get the money coming back in. And it's got to start with having a good football season. You need people to return to the stadium, mm-hmm. which it probably is not going to happen this year. Even with success, it's not like you're going to have people buying season tickets halfway through. You don't really have that great of a home schedule outside of USC coming here. So It'll be interesting to see what happens this year. Really puts probably Fickle on more of a hot seat than anything. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. But yeah, without having some sort of stability here, it's hard to say who you want to come in here and be an AD. I've seen a lot of people being like, well, offer it to Jim Leonard or J.J. Watt.
Jeez.
Or even Joe Thomas. And I'm like, sure, those guys could probably walk into a room and pull down $1 million, but I mean, they're not athletic directors. They've never done that sort of thing. I mean, Joe Thomas is now running his own farm and Hall of Fame meets. So he's got somewhat of a business sense, but like, I don't see him coming in and wanting to be an AD, you know. He's already helping out the athletic department, going to events and things like that for fundraising and things. So like he's doing that already. So I'd like, just off the top of my head, and within the 48 hours now that it's been announced, it's like I'll take anybody who can be better than, you know, firing a coach in the middle of a season when it's the first time it's ever happened in Wisconsin football history, throwing away people's bricks that they paid for like memorials to family members and things like that, hiring a coach who allegedly verbally and physically abused women's basketball players, destroying nationally recognized track teams' indoor facilities so they can't even practice in the winters on campus. Hired Robin Pington, seemed to have something go in the right direction on the second try with women's basketball, and hired a pretty decent men's hockey coach. Hired a wrestling coach who's just taken the program in a downward spiral. So, I mean, there's two positives and a lot of negatives in this so far in this. So it's not going to take too much for somebody to come in here and seem like the savior. But one thing I think I do know is I would rather not have Coach Alvarez involved in the process of picking somebody new.
Yeah, all right. So that's kind of another thing I was going to ask, is a lot of these, you know, have a Barry Alvarez tie to it. And you kind of already mentioned it here, and I know a lot of, at least our listeners, I'm sure you saw it too. First thing out of their mouths or their minds after this news was, oh, Luke Fickell's gone. Luke Fickell's not going to be fired before the season, though, right, RJ? I mean, we could squash that at this point.
Absolutely not. No, he'll be coaching this year, and I think now, I guess, even with a qualifying for a bowl, I don't know if that alone will help him keep his job. I think it now puts more pressure on him to have a better season than we were talking about before, you know, where it's like, hey, get to 7-5, make a bowl game. That's a good step forward. Who knows what the new chancellor and the new athletic director are going to think about what success is on the football field. When you had the old AD being like, we're going to have some successes, it's not necessarily going to be in wins and losses. And all of a sudden you're like, excuse me, what?
Yeah.
It's solely got to be about wins and losses. If you're not winning, money's not coming in. And I don't think the last AD understood that. I think he thought Wisconsin was in a place where money's going to come in no matter what. And I think that really screwed the pooch for this athletic department with the football team, because, you know, basketball is doing well. Limited amount of seats compared to Camp Randall. Hockey started doing well. Limited amount of seats and more niche of a fan base than basketball and football. Your women's sports are doing pretty darn good. Even more limited seats and like visibility and money making ability. So like that can't make up for a bad football team. Like, you screwed up the biggest hire ever that an athletic department, an athletic director is judged on. And I don't think he was willing to admit that. So it might be much more of a hot seat than it was 2 days ago.
Interesting, man. This is going to be fascinating to kind of play out and such. RJ going to hockey, which I thought would kind of lead off our conversation here this morning. But, men's team getting to that national championship game against Denver and such just fell a little bit short, heartbreaking fashion. But when you look back at this season, I know we talked a lot about it. I mean, there's a lot of positivity with this season, right?
Oh, absolutely. That little 6-game run where they went defeated, they had injuries to their top 2 centers. They had injuries to 2 of their top 4 defensemen. Injuries to goalies. So they had a 3-week run there where it wasn't good. Outside of that, you finished the year 8-3, went on a run in the NCAA tournament, made the finals, played outskated and outplayed Denver for the first 2 periods, and then that third period started and they just started dumping the puck in the offensive zone and would not really continue the game plan that got you a 1-0 lead in the first 2 periods. Now they went up against the statistically best goalie in the NCAA in the championship game, but their whole run to the NCAA, you faced the number 3 goalie, the number 10 goalie, then in the semifinal you faced the number 5 statistically best goalie and the number 1. That's a tough run to get through. The Denver goalie stood on his head after letting 1 goal in and 30 some odd shots on goal. Wisconsin ultimately in that third period, jumping the puck and packing to play some defense. I think they played not to lose rather than win. I think had they ran the same game plan of just keeping the puck in the offensive zone, trying to keep peppering that goalie, could have ended up 1-0 win for Wisconsin. But right now, it is what it is, and looking forward to next year because even that run can help with recruiting and things along those lines moving forward. So looking forward to see what happens next year, and great season overall for Wisconsin.
Yeah, no doubt. I think maybe right now when you look at all the programs and such, it might be the men's and women's hockey programs that are maybe feeling the best or feeling the most confident currently and maybe in the future. Would you say that's accurate?
Oh, yeah, I think you could say that. Up until I'd say the same thing for volleyball.
Oh, yeah, volleyball.
And,
yep.
And men's basketball, it's not like they're a bad team. They're just like not figuring out how to win in the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. So, it's hard to look at that team who's averaging 20+ wins a year and say they're bad, So, those are your 4 programs. But one of those needs to be football in order to make this thing work.
Mm-hmm.
If money's not coming in on football, NIL is not going to work. That rev share, not going to work.
Right.
Need to take care of that and hopefully get stuff in place to have football be back up there with those 4 and be a school that can, have the extra sources of income from the non-profit sports that, help pad the numbers a little bit.
He's RJ Cardinal, our Badger analyst. Anything? I know we had a lot on the AD talk and such, but anything else that you wanted to throw out there before we let you go this morning?
I don't think so. Oh, Austin Rapp's coming back.
Austin Rapp, yep.
We got at least 2 guys on the roster for next year.
Yeah, right. Did I see Blackwell's taking a visit with UCLA?
Yeah, because having a chance at winning the national title really screams out when you go visit UCLA. So, so we'll see.
Yeah, no kidding. So, all right, RJ, hey, thanks for breaking it all down, man. And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot more about this AD search once we find out some more rumors and such on interviews and that. So we appreciate it, man. Enjoy the week, and we'll catch up with you again soon, okay?
Sounds good. We will talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. There's RJ Cardinal. Good stuff as always with our guy breaking it all down for the Badgers. We got to take a quick break, but we'll be right back after these few words. Get ready because it's that time of year when you go over to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire and you smell the smokers going on and the grills. Yeah, they got the ribs on the smokers and such, and that's going to be the case for this weekend, April 17th to the 19th. It's Hy-Vee's Smoked Meat Fest. Yeah, serving up rib deals plus all your favorite smoky, savory classics. So, put it on your calendars again for this weekend, April 17th to the 19th. That's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're going to have that big old smoker out front, and they're going to be smoking some ribs. And if you haven't tried their ribs, they are pretty good. My wife loves them a lot, too. So it is that time of year where you're probably going to be, every time you go do a little grocery shopping from Hy-Vee in Eau Claire, you're going to smell that tastiness. I do got to play a little catch-up, which you probably already knew. So we are going to have to take another break, even though we're less than 10 minutes to the top of the hour here. Mike from Medford chiming in on that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line saying Joey Ortiz needs to sit 9 hits out of 41 at-bats, no doubles, triples, or homers. Plus, we all know he can't hit with bases loaded. And I think, I feel like with David Hamilton, and it's not like David Hamilton is, lighting the world on fire either. I mean, he's hitting 200 this year. He's got 6 hits, 3 RBIs. But with the versatility that he kind of brings in, stealing bases, he's got 4 already this year. His on base, actually, he's 400, which is higher than his career high of 291. So it's not that huge of an upgrade. But I just think the clock's probably ticking on, are we going to see Cooper Pratt eventually at some point this year take that spot? I think we're going to. I really do. I think we're going to. But we'll see how it plays out. How many more opportunities do you give Joey Ortiz here? So, okay. Like I said, we do have to take a quick break here, but coming up in the next hour, hit me up with your Grind My Gears Tuesdays. Okay, text them on over, 715-830-1912. Also, your sports confessions and your I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. Mine, I'll get to just past 9 o'clock, and I'll just say it's related to the Milwaukee Bucks and their head coach search. So, all right, really quick break here, and we'll wrap up the third quarter and get into the fourth quarter, the final quarter coming up after these really quick words. Sign-ups are now open for the Casper Classic coming up on August 7th. I know you're probably thinking, I got plenty of time to sign up my two-person team for the Casper Classic at Lake Cali Golf Course on August 7th, but teams are flying off the shelves right now for our 10 a.m. and our 1 p.m. tee times. We've got availability for the 7:30 tee time, too. So if you want to be in the same tee time as one Surveyor Sam, you don't necessarily have to golf with Surveyor and Nate in case you're intimidated by them. But if you want to get around in, maybe for before work and such, that's available too. So just head to WAYYradio.com, 715store.com, or sportstalk1051.com, whatever the case may be. You'll see the icon right there, and you just click on it and sign up your two-person team for just $90. It includes your meal, some beverage tickets, your greens fees, your cart, all that good stuff. Big thanks to Hy-Vee again for being our lunch providers. We've got Window World. We've got VFW Post 305. We've got Myron Construction. So big thanks to them. If you are interested in maybe being a whole sponsor to help support Backyard Dreams, or sponsor or donate a prize, again, all proceeds go to help support Backyard Dreams. Please reach out, and I'll get you in contact with the right peeps. So, all right, I just got a minute and a half left to the top. So coming up next hour, we'll kick it off with a little I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. And mine is related to the Milwaukee Bucks coaching search. It officially was official yesterday with Doc Rivers stepping down as head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. So how confident are you that the Bucks are going to get this thing right? Who knows? Me? I might be a little less confident. Not to give away completely what my I'm not saying, but I'm just saying is. So, but we'll hit that up. Send me yours. Get to some sports confessions coming up in the 9 o'clock hour too. Our Toyson Ford Grind My Gears Tuesday. What is it grinding your gears? Let us know. Get it off your chest. It's a feel-good Tuesday, peeps. We'll get back to more Brewers talk as we get set for Game 1 of this series between the fighting Dalton Varshows and the Toronto Blue Jays. So Jacob Mizorowski getting the start tonight, his 4th start on the season. Brewers looking to end their 5-game losing streak. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off. We got news updates, and we'll be right back to kick off the 4th quarter. Coming up next. All right, final hour, final quarter kicking off right now on this Tuesday morning, April 14th. DK Show coming to you from the TDS Sports Talk Studios. Thanks for hanging out with us. It's been a lot of fun. It's been flying on through. I feel like we say that every day. Time flies when you have fun, right? That's what we do every morning here. We're going to get to some more Brewers chat as we get set for game one of this 3-game sets with the Toronto Blue Jays. We'll maybe get back to a little bit more draft talk. Kind of an informal question we threw out there in the second hour, back in the 7 o'clock hour. Feels like, I can't believe it was 2 hours ago already. But with the Dontavian Wicks trade, do you think Green Bay should draft a wide receiver earlier on in the draft now? Because as of right now, they don't really have a wide receiver under contract for a long term outside of Matthew Golden and Savion Williams. We're assuming they're going to probably re-sign Christian Watson, maybe Jaden Reed. But do you still draft one? Does it maybe move up a little bit, in your opinion? From all accounts, from a lot of draft people out there, this is a class that is loaded, fairly loaded, with some wide receiver depth. Overall draft, a lot of people say, not that great. Next year's going to be better. But if this is a draft that has some talent at wide receiver, is this where you take advantage of it? What would you do? All right. Also, just kind of a fun question we had in the first hour. We were talking a little bit about analytics, and mostly when it came to baseball, because there's a really good piece on Brewers.com by Adam McCulvey. And he talks a little bit about how Pat Murphy kind of went down a rabbit hole, trying to figure out or answer the question. Why do all the analytics kind of overlook the Brewers or underrate them and that sort of thing? And it's a good piece, interesting piece and such. But I kind of threw out, if you were a coach, it kind of dived into this. If you were a coach, how much would you utilize analytics when it comes to decision making? Because even when we see it in the NFL, when we're watching a football game, right? How many times do we see 4th and 1, the percentages to go for it? So what is that thing on Monday Night Football where they say so-and-so says go for it, or odds say go for it, or something like that? So how much would you utilize analytics in your decision-making process as a coach or as a manager? And maybe the same for as general manager, because it does have its place in constructing a team as well. Maybe if we got time, we'll hit that back up. But if you haven't had a chance to chime in on that, please do so. Also, if you got any more Grind My Gears Tuesday brought to you by Toys for Ford, also your sports confessions, I'll get to mine here later on this hour. But I kick it off with a little I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. So yesterday, official, Doc Rivers stepping down as head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. And yesterday we talked about some coaching possibilities. I put up another video, Tailgate Talk. Check it out on YouTube, with my top 5 coaching options to be the new head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks. So if you want to see that top 5 so you can yell at me and tell me how wrong I am, go for it. It's on YouTube or on Instagram or on Facebook. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying is, I'm not saying that the Bucks are going to completely screw this up when it comes to a head coach hire, but I'm just saying I really don't have the confidence that they're going to find they're going to get this pick right. I don't think I'm not saying that it's just going to be a complete farce and a complete, kind of a Doc Rivers repeat hire. But I'm just saying I don't have a ton of confidence right now sitting here. And especially when you look at the last couple of moves that they made in the head coaching department. You could look at the Adrian Griffin hire and say, oh, that was a little underwhelming. But then you could factor in the fact they fired him when they were in first place, and then they replaced him with Doc Rivers. So I don't have a ton of confidence in the decision-making, whether it's the owners that are going to have the final say, whether it's going to be John Horst that's going to have the final say. Maybe it's going to be Giannis that's going to have the final say. But if we look at recent history here, I don't know. I don't have a lot of confidence. No. So that's kind of I'm not saying, but I'm just saying. I'm not saying that it's going to be that they're going to completely blow this thing up or completely screw this thing up is probably the best way to say it. I'm just saying I don't have confidence. Now, Rich Paul, just kind of segue here. Rich Paul, you probably hear that name a lot in the NBA circles, right? Rich Paul, agent and that. And well, he's always really attached with LeBron. Okay, he's sports agent who founded Clutch Sports. He represents LeBron James and such. Well, he had some interesting comments about the Bucks in a podcast here. He appeared on Clutch Points, okay? Clutch Points. And a couple of quotes he said, quote, "I think the future is very bright in Milwaukee because I think in sports, sometimes you get into this space to where you want to stay stagnant for so long with this idea that every year starts over. I think it's an opportunity to hit the reset button to get younger because they built a really good foundation in Milwaukee. They have a new arena, a new practice facility. They've won a championship. So if this was your front yard, you dig it up and just soil over, plant some new seeds." He said, "Let me tell you something." And I said this before speaking of the lawn, the grass isn't always greener. And he's kind of talking about Giannis here because as this piece writes, trading Giannis could give the Bucks the draft assets and young players they need to build a contending team from scratch. But even then, Rich Paul doesn't believe that both sides are necessarily better off being apart. So, you get all these other national peeps, analysts out there just, coming after Milwaukee and coming after the franchise. And here you've got an agent that I think, was it during the season, there was a rumor that he was trying to get Giannis as a client, or like he was reaching out to Thanasis to try to get him on board. I have to double check that. And maybe this could be just straight up agent speak too. I'm just trying to create some good chemistry mojo with a franchise that he may have to be dealing with some agent or with some players or some prospects and that. Yeah, here's the article from January 26th that Rich Paul was trying to lure. According to Henry Abbott of True Hoop, Rich Paul might be trying to make Giannis his next superstar client, joining LeBron and others like Tyrese Maxey, Anthony Davis, De'Aaron Fox, Darius Garland, and Draymond Green. Rich Paul of Clutch Sports not only has a tendency to talk about Giannis, but also multiple sources agree he has been talking to Giannis's brother Thanasis as of late. Rich, it seems clear, would like to represent Giannis. Two excellent NBA sources suggest that this kind of agent talk is a constant undertone of NBA life, and it's not worth worrying about. Two others believe there's a very real chance that Giannis will soon have a new agent. So that was back in January. But the grass isn't always greener on the other side. How many times have we heard that when it's come to a sports analogy and sports talk? But, yeah. It's going to be a bit. Okay, I think that's something that we have to keep reminding ourselves, and I have to keep reminding myself with the whole Giannis thing. It's going to be a bit. I don't think you're going to, in the next week, in the next month, going to get any resolution to the whole Giannis thing, whether he's going to stay or whether he's going to go. And if he's going to go, where is he going to get traded? How much are they going to get in return? I do wonder. Let me say this. Rephrase it, not wonder. I do hope they get this done before the draft. They figure this out before the draft. Because if they do want to move on from Giannis and they're going to get a bunch of picks in return, let's get them now. Let's get them now. I don't want to go August, September, and then he gets traded. Let's get some high picks in this year's draft. So I hope they have that decision made. I know the October 1st thing, extension, but there's going to have to be a little bit of a handshake deal there. And like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're good with this. You're going to stay. You're going to sign extension. All right, cool. You want out? You don't want it? No interest in signing? Okay, we're going to trade. I'd like that done before the draft. And I don't know if we're really, well, I mean, we'll know if they decide to trade him before the draft. I mean, we'll obviously know that answer too. But, if we get to the draft and he's not moved, does that tell us anything? That's still quite a bit of months between June and October. So I don't know. Yeah, tricky situation. All right. Let's take a break. Let's get back to some more baseball talk. Let's get to the Brewers taking on the Blue Jays. We'll hit that up. Coming up after these quick words. With spring rolling into Eau Claire, it's time to get back outside and enjoy the season. And whether you are heading to the range or maybe getting ready for hunting season, or you're just gearing up for some time in the outdoors, Tilden Gun is your local stop for selection, service, and expertise. They offer a wide range of firearms and accessories, along with a knowledgeable staff who can help you find exactly what fits your needs. No pressure, just straight answers and real guidance. It's about making sure that you're comfortable, confident, and ready for the next outing. Spring is the season to get prepared, to get organized, and to get outside. And Tilden Gun is here to help you do just that. So stop on in, check them out online at tildengun.com, and see what they've got in stock and why so many in the Chippewa Valley trust them year after year. Tilden Gun, your hometown source for gear, service, and expertise. Don't forget, if you do have any luck or have had any luck, especially if you're a kiddo, with this spring turkey season, send it on over, and we'll put it up on our Sports Talk Facebook page if you're good with that. So send it on over and share it and brag. Do a little humble brag. I just save some for me, okay? I'm due. It's been a bit. Been a hot minute. I'm due. All right? Just say. Oh, yeah, the Packers Tailgate Tour is out and about. I don't think there's anything more south this year, right? But I saw that the bus is out. So Ed Policy is on there. Edrin Cooper. Ooh, this is a good lineup. I think wasn't Colby Wooden supposed to be on it, but obviously being traded and he's not. So, but Edrin Cooper, Randall Cobb, James Jones, Desmond Bishop, Brandon Jackson, and safety Evan Williams. It's not a bad group to go check out. If you are checking out the Tailgate Tour. Yeah. I hope they come back to Eau Claire. They will at some point here, but that'd be cool. So it's a good group. It's a really solid group. All right. Let's talk some Brewers baseball. By the way, I'd like the Brewers to get back to doing that. Do a little winter tour and such. I wish they would get back to doing that. That would be cool. But anyways, Brew Crew. Back at it tonight. Take it on the Blue Jays. 640, you can listen to the game on the radio dials. 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Coverage will begin at about 6:05. And we got a good pitching matchup here tonight again. We got Jacob Mizorowski going for the Crew. Kevin Gausman going for the Toronto Blue Jays. And he's coming off his first loss, which was against the Dodgers, but he went 5 1/3, giving up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, 5 strikeouts, 2 walks. The 2 games prior to that, 6 innings. Okay, so this is combined. He went 6 innings in each game, but to combine it, a total of 3 hits, a total of 1 earned run, did not issue a single walk, and 21 Ks. Yeah, he's pretty good. Yeah, he's off to a really good start. So you look at it for the Brewers offense, a Brewers offense that's trying to get back on track. It might be a tough test for the Crew tonight. On the flip side, and there are some hitters on this Brewers lineup that have a little bit of experience going up against them. Notably, Sanchez has 23 at-bats, does have a home run, 217 and a 598 OPS. Yelich's probably not play, has 14 at-bats, 214, 553 OPS. Luis Rengifo's got a home run against him in 10 career at-bats, 207, 73. Hamilton, 8 career at-bats, 250, 500 OPS. And Contreras, he's 0 for and 6 at-bats. So, but not a ton with, AL and that sort of thing. But no experience for this Blue Jays lineup going up against the Miz kids. So is there a little bit of an advantage to that? Possibly, maybe. But you look at the Blue Jays, too, and their start to the season. And a team that has high expectations after a World Series appearance last year, higher expectations heading into this year. They're off to a little bit of a slow start, too. I mean, looking at the standings across Major League Baseball, you kind of look at them, and, the Yankees are doing their thing, but they're just 2 games above 500, 9-7. Baltimore's 9-7. Tampa Bay's 8-7. Toronto 6-9, and then Boston 6-10. Boston, another team, off to a little bit of a slow start. The AL Central. Right now, you're a Twins fan? I mean, come on. You got to be loving this. You got to be enjoying this. You're 7-3 in your last 10 games. You're tied with Cleveland at the top. Everybody, including me, and including Twins fans, thought the Twins were just going to be god-awful. And right now, they've got a plus 15 run differential. They're off to a really good start. Guardians 10-7. Kansas, a hot pick. They're 7-9. Detroit, 7-9. So, the AL West. This one's kind of weird. The Rangers 9-7. The Athletics 9-8. Angels 8-9. Seattle's 8-9. And then the Houston Astros 6-11. But again, Seattle was a very popular pick to go to the World Series. I know it's still early, but a little bit of a slower start. NL East, Atlanta 10-7. Then you got Miami 9-8. Philadelphia's 8-8. Nationals 7-9, and the Mets 7-10. Again, another popular pick. The West, Dodgers doing their thing, 12-4. I mean, there's just like a machine, which should be expected. Padres 10-6, Diamondbacks 9-8, Giants 6-10, along with the Rockies, who are 6-10. And then the Central, you've got the Pittsburgh Pirates, 4 games above 500. They're 10-6. There were some people, and right now I got to give them a tip of the cap. Just 16 games in their season, but I will say there were some people saying, watch out for the Pirates, could be doing a little bit this year. Maybe a sneaky team. Well, right now they're off to a really good start. Cincinnati 9-7. Milwaukee 8-7. Cardinals 8-8. And you got the Cubbies coming in at 7-9. But back to, Blue Jays and the Brewers here. So a little bit about, let me bring up some of the numbers in that. But you can see a lot of similarities between these two teams and how they've really began their season. So hitting-wise, when you look at it from a home run standpoint, if we look at home runs, excuse me, you've got Milwaukee sitting there at 13. All right, they've hit the 13th most home runs so far. They've got 16. Toronto, 14. We're just looking at some of the offensive numbers. In terms of RBIs, Brewers are a top 10 team. They're 9. They've got 65. But this is where the Blue Jays have really kind of struggled on the offensive side. Not manufacturing runs, not getting runs across the board. They have just 55 RBIs. When you talk about runs scored, Brewers, again, are a top 10 team, 117. Twins, by the way, or excuse me, not that's hits. 80 runs. Twins, by the way, they're a top 5 team, 92. But Brewers are at 8 with 80. Toronto, 57. Hits. Here's kind of some of the interesting stuff. Brewers are 25th in hits. 25th in hits. 117. The league leader is the Atlanta Braves at 160. Toronto has 124. But look at the hits to run ratio. Brewers have 117 hits. 25th in Major League Baseball. Yet runs scored, they're top 10. They got 80. They're limited in their amount of hits, but they are manufacturing those runs. They are getting those runs in. Brewers have the 7th most walks, 75. Toronto, they don't walk a ton. They've got 53. In terms of strikeouts, Toronto does not strike out a lot from an offense. They're best in Major League Baseball, 104. Milwaukee, also a top 10 team, 127. When we look at OPS numbers and such, Brewers are a top 10 team. They have a 726 OPS, whereas the Toronto Blue Jays, 693. So just a little bit of the offensive numbers. Now, on the pitching side, this is where it's kind of interesting. The top team in Major League Baseball in terms of strikeouts is the Blue Jays. They've struck out 168 batters. But when you go to ERA, they're one of the worst team ERAs. Toronto, 4.81. But Washington is second worst, and look what they just did to the Brewers, right? In terms of opponents' batting average, they're pretty similar between the two. Brewers, 241. Toronto just above them at 240. In terms of giving up the home run ball, the Blue Jays have given up, they're tied for fifth most. They've given up 20 home runs, whereas the Brewers have given up 50. So, again, just some of the offensive numbers and pitching numbers and such with these two. I think the biggest key for tonight's game and for this series overall for the Brewers is got to get the offense back on track. They've got to be able to get back to scoring runs and giving some support to this pitching staff. They did a little bit of that on Sunday. Bullpen, hopefully a day off, rested, regrouped, ready to rock and roll. But I got to see better performance from the up. Now you got no Yelich, still no Jackson Chirio, still no Andrew Vaughn. I'm looking at this. Do you change up that lineup a little bit where you put Terang into a 3 spot, kind of replacing Christian Yelich? Do you move Sal Frelick into the leadoff and put Terang more in that power spot? I think it's worth a crack. But there's definitely going to be more on the shoulders of Contreras. There's going to be more on the shoulders of Terang. There's got to be more on the shoulders of Bowers and maybe even a Gary Sanchez. I'm assuming Gary Sanchez may be getting more opportunities as the DH now without Yelich. But Garrett Mitchell, you're looking at him as a guy that's going to have to step up in the offensive department for the Brewers, because when you look at some of these offensive numbers, let's take a look at, OPS-wise. Even Sal Frelick's got to kick it into gear here a little bit. Maybe putting him in that leadoff spot will help kick it into gear a little bit. But Garrett Mitchell right now, his OPS is a 853, and he's hitting 278, slugging 444. He's got the 1 home run. But can he take his offensive game up another notch without Christian Yelich in that lineup? He's going to have to. There's going to be more pressure on his shoulders. There's going to be more pressure on Contreras. Contreras right now, he's 280 at 870. Bryce Terang numbers, his OPS, 1.058. His average is at 298. It's going to be more on him in terms of being that power guy. So I wouldn't mind it if we see a lineup card of Frelick at the leadoff. Maybe you put Garrett Mitchell at 2. Contreras at 4, and then Bryce Terang at 3, or flip-flop those two, and then maybe you put a little Gary Sanchez or Bowers at 5, 6. Lockridge, Blake Perkins, whoever's going to be the other outfielder in there, and then whoever's going to be playing third and short, they're kind of at the bottom of the lineup there. Like to see more from Joey Ortiz. I'd like to see more from Luis. Like to see more from I think Hamilton, probably be at the bottom of the order there, but everybody's going to have to step it up here a little bit more from an offensive standpoint. But I do think it's something to think about, putting Bryce Terang and maybe more of that power spot in that lineup with no Yelich in here. All right, we got to take a quick break. It's confession time. We'll do some sports confessions coming up in just a few minutes. Little quick local sports nuggets. Menominee High School has their new head football coach, it looks like. Mitch Olson is going to be the new head football coach. He had spent the last few years at La Crosse Central High School. He was actually selected to coach for the Wisconsin Football Coaches Association All-Star Game in 2026. He is a Chi High graduate back in 2009. So maybe coming closer to home. But that's going to be Menominee's new head football coach, Mitch Olson. So in case we have any Menominee alums listening to us this morning. You got your new football coach. So, all right, let's do some confessions. And I think I speak for maybe a lot of fans. And honestly, there's nothing too wrong with it. I might have gotten a little uppity up in my britches, if you will, about the Brewer season, the way they started. And honestly, there's probably going to be a few more moments this year where I'm going to be a little bit head in the clouds, feeling really good, maybe be a little cocky about the Brew Crew and such. So I confess, sports gods, baseball gods, I was a little too cocky about the Brewers early on. I've been humbled. I think a lot of us have been humbled within the last 5 games. So forgive me. But can we please get back to our winning ways now? Because I don't want to see the Pirates win this division. I don't want to see the Cardinals, the Reds, the Cubs, anybody in this division. No, thank you. So forgive me. It's going to happen again because it's baseball and there's 162 of these games. It is a very long season and it's going to happen in football. I don't know if it'll happen in basketball anytime soon. We'll see. But yeah, I might have gotten a little high in my britches, a little head in the clouds. So forgive me. And I appreciate you humbling me, sports gods. But let's get back to that winning ways tonight against the Blue Jays, shall we? Please, maybe, possibly. Yeah. Hey, don't forget, I am looking. If you want to do a Packers mock draft, okay, you can easily go on Pro Football Network, I believe it is. It's the mock draft simulator, and set it to the Packers. Send those on over, and I'll include those in our upcoming podcast, our upcoming draft podcast on Friday. So go over there, do it, screenshot it, and email it to me at mancavepodmail@gmail.com. That way I can include it. Don't text it. I don't take messages on Facebook because it gets flooded with spam, and it's so annoying. So I shut off like the notifications on that. But so email it to me. That way it's easier for me to collect too. But go on there. I want to include yours, your mock drafts. Even if you're not a Packers fan, okay? If you're a Lions fan, if you're a Bears fan, if you are a Cowboys fan, an Eagles fan, Vikings, Browns, Bengals, whatever the case may be. Do your mock draft. Do a simulator. It's free on those simulators. I don't care if it's the Pro Football Network one or if you got a different one that you like better. Screenshot it after you're done. Or if you want to do it by hand, that's fine too. And then I'll put it up I'll include it in our Man Cave podcast, our draft special episode when Brandon and I record it on Friday. All right. So I want to include you. Let's have a little fun with this. Okay. I've been dabbling a little bit. It's a little bit late in the year for me. Usually I've been doing some of the simulators just to kind of see how the board falls and with that. And that's not to say that's what the draft is going to be like next week or how it's going to be, but I've finally dabbled into it a little bit. In other years, I've probably dabbled into it a little bit earlier, a little bit sooner, but just finally getting into it. And maybe it is because Green Bay doesn't have the first round pick. I think it's a little bit of that, and I think it's a little bit of there's just a whole lot of other things going on right now in the sports world. So saw this little nugget baseball-wise. Aaron Judge, Mike Trout. So, yeah, a couple home runs last night. This is the 4th game in which 2 multi-time MVPs at the time of the game hit multiple home runs each joining, this is from Sarah Langs from MLB.com. Man, you got to go back to the 60s. Last time was Roger Maris and Mickey Mantle, July 6, 1962. And the fun fact, those two did it July 3rd, 1962. Mike Trout's up to 4 home runs so far this year. This might be another topic for another day, and this might be actually a man cave or a podcast topic. Mike Trout, I don't know if like fall from grace is the right phrase or analogy, and I know he's had a lot of injuries and such, but last year he played in 130 games. He had 232. He had 26 home runs and 64 RBIs, but this was a guy that began his career. You asked Alexa, who's the greatest baseball player of all time? Alexa was telling you it was Mike Trout. And then injuries. 2023, going to 2020, he had 53 games, 36 games in 21, had 119 in 2022, 82 in 2023, 29 in 2024, 130 last year, 16 so far this year. But, man, the run that he began, it's hard to believe he's already played for 16 years, though, too. That's the other thing. Mike Trout's already been in the league for 16 years. Is he a little bit of the Griffey path where I think a lot of us, maybe in my generation or so, if Griffey would have stayed healthy, he might have gone down as, for a lot of people, the greatest baseball player that we have seen or maybe that has ever lived. And even with his injuries, the dude still put up some really good career numbers, 630 career home runs. He played 22 years. But is it a little similar to that? Now, I don't think Trout's going to get to 600 home runs, but if he gets to 500, I think that's possible. We'll see. But maybe a little bit similar. I don't hear a whole lot about him anymore, but I don't know. All right, let's take a quick break. We've got picks. We've got some NBA games, play-in games. Is that what we're calling them? Playing games, NBA play-in games, opening round, whatever the heck they're calling it these days. So, and baseball games to get to. So let's do that as we wrap up the fourth quarter. We'll be back in just a couple minutes. All right, time to wrap it up here this morning. Let's get to some picks, shall we? We've got a couple of NBA games to get to here as we get set for the postseason. And then, of course, Major League Baseball games. And we've got a couple of, all right, more than a couple. We got a few hockey games to get to here, too. So, NBA-wise, Miami, Charlotte, give me the Hornets. Portland, Phoenix, I'm going to go with the Suns. Let's go to the NHL. We got New Jersey taking on Boston. I'm going to go with the Bruins. Carolina taking on the Islanders. Give me New York. Montreal and Philadelphia. I'll go Montreal. Washington, Columbus. I'll go Columbus. Anaheim versus Minnesota. Got to go with the Ducks. Winnipeg and Utah. I'll go with Utah. Colorado, Calgary. I'll go with the Avalanche. Pittsburgh, St. Louis. Give me St. Louis. And then Los Angeles take it on Vancouver. I will go with the Kings. Los Angeles Kings. Major League Baseball schedule. Full on up here. We've got Arizona taking on Baltimore. I'm going to go with the Diamondbacks. We've got the Cubbies taking on the Phillies. Phillies offense was pouring it on in the early portion of that game last night. 13-7, a lot of those runs for the Cubbies towards the end of the game. I'm going to go Philly. I'm going to go Philly again. Kansas City at Detroit. I'm going to go Kansas City. Giants, Cincinnati. Let's go with the Giants. Washington and the Nationals and the Pirates. I'm going to go Pirates again. They're playing good baseball. I hate to say that. Angels, Yankees. I'll go with the Yankees. Miami and the Braves. I'll go with the Braves. Boston, Minnesota. Minnesota's playing good too. Sonny Gray's on the mound though. I'm going to go. I'll go Boston bounces back after Minnesota put up 13, outscoring them by 7 runs yesterday. Tampa Bay taking on the White Sox. I'll go Tampa Bay. Toronto. No, I'm going to save that one. Cleveland versus St. Louis. I'm going to go Cleveland. Colorado, Houston. I'll go Houston. Seattle and San Diego. I'm going to go San Diego. Texas and the Athletics. Give me Texas. Mets, Dodgers. I got to go Dodgers. And then finally, Toronto and Milwaukee. I just don't trust the offense right now for Milwaukee, and I'm going to go Toronto and to extend the winning streak. Or, extend the losing streak by the Brewers to 6. I hope I'm wrong. I'm going to go with the Blue Jays taking game 1 tonight. I hope Miz goes out there and dominates, and I hope he gets the offensive support in tonight's game. But, all right, those are your picks for this morning. Hey, coming up tomorrow as we are making a turn on this Wednesday, got kind of a fun interview planned towards the bottom of the 9 o'clock hour tomorrow. So about 9:35. A lot of us listening right now, we used to get the East Bay catalog, right? Order some basketball shoes. Looking through that. Ordering some stuff. Well, we're going to talk with the 2 founders from East Bay because their new book just dropping today, the Book of East Bay. So we're going to chat a little bit about East Bay. Going down in the history, right? Man, I used to get I think I got all my basketball shoes from East Bay, ordering through that catalog or online, just shopping like some of the bargains on East Bay too. So, but that should be a fun one coming up at about 9:35 tomorrow. So, also on the docket, hopefully we're talking about a Brewers win and then looking ahead to game 2 of that series. So, fingers crossed that the Brewers can end that losing streak and get back to their winning ways here. But also on the docket, since it is Wednesday and we are making the turn on that Wednesday, we will do a little Mike's Star Market, Am I Wrong? So this is your homework assignment, okay? Think about your Am I Wrongs. Am I wrong for thinking this? Am I wrong for saying that? Sports theme, okay? Sports perspective. Also, give me your Hy-Vee game changers. What was the game-changing move, game-changing play, player? Pretty open-ended. Get your picks in for tomorrow. And we'll do a little Inside the Hobby segment coming your way tomorrow too. But, which means we're going to be giving away another card from Paul, listener Paul. Can give you a heads up. Whoever participates the most tomorrow, you're going to increase your chances to win that card. So whether it's your Mike Star Markets, Am I Wrong? Or whether it's your Hy-Vee Game Changers or just participating in the program, that's going to increase your chance. It's participation points day tomorrow. I know. I hated that in school. I hated it so much. I hated participating in class. And now here I am telling you all to participate too. How the tables have turned. But that's coming your way tomorrow, so think about it. Okay? Your Am I Wrongs and your Game Changers. We'll continue talking some more Packers draft as well as we get closer and closer to the draft coming your way next week. We'll continue kind of a countdown of some potential prospects and take a look at that top 30 visit and see if we've missed on anybody that we haven't chatted about for our countdown. Pat Murphy just this morning saying that Christian Yelich will be hitting the injured list. He said that in an interview this morning on 620 WTMJ. So, yeah, Yelich will be on the injured list. Got to imagine there's going to be probably a corresponding move, a call up. Maybe it's Jeff Securo again. If Sanchez is going to be more of the DH, have another catcher on there. I don't know. Maybe it is Cooper Pratt. I don't know, but we'll see how that all kind of plays out. But, yep, Yelly going to be on the injured list. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut me off here. Have a fantastic day today. Still looks a little foggy out there, huh? All right. I know we got some more rain potentially coming here too, so hopefully everybody was safe from yesterday's storms. And if we get more today or we get some more rain out there, if you got games scheduled, practices or that's, parrots, double check everything, all right? It's that time of year. But be safe out there in case you are traveling. And I think the severe weather is supposed to be a little bit south, but if you do have to travel, be a little bit safe down there. All right. Have a good rest of your day. Let's do this again tomorrow morning. Okay, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m., same place. TDS Sports Talk Studios, same time. Let's have a lot of fun tomorrow. Give me your Mike Star Markets and my Rogs. Give me your Hy-Vee Game Changers. Again, that's your homework assignments. And participation points are going to lead you to the better chance to win a prize. Chat with you all tomorrow morning.